you're going to be a big-time player in the NBA. And I think Adam Morrison has big-time player written all over him because of his ability to score.
Highest Gonzaga player drafted, John Stockton, was 16th overall back in 1984. Like the pick, Greg?
I love it. I think he's the best prospect in the draft. I really do. I mean, everybody discounts his athletic ability, but what this guy has is, and what I love, he's a very good decision maker with the basketball. Secondly, he's a great player without the basketball, and at a small forward position, that's a tremendous asset because small forwards aren't accustomed to guarding guys that move without the basketball. He is going to have a tremendous impact from day one. Plus, this guy already has that star quality, that star appeal. And if you're the Charlotte Bobcats where you're struggling to sell tickets, this is the must-pay, I should say, for Charlotte.
Well, there are some questions about his athleticism, and we all know he's not the most stellar defensive player in the world. Let's just get that out the way. However, I'm partial to shooters. The man can flat out shoot. He led the nation in scoring. He's a prolific scorer, and he scores from the perimeter, which is a very big deal. He can get off his own shot, and the Charlotte Bobcats are devoid of a primary offensive option. That is not a problem any longer. From day one, you get this man the basketball, you move out the way.
Nation's leading scorer. Now, Rachel Nichols in Charlotte. And Rachel, it seemed to be a little bit of a debate there on Rudy Gay or Adam Morrison. Was there maybe some storylines going on behind the scenes with the Bobcats with this pick?
Well, they were definitely going back and forth between these players, but in the end, they picked Morrison because they liked what a lot of you guys on the set are saying. They liked how NBA ready he was. They've got a good young nucleus here. They've got Sean May, Emeka Okafor. They feel that if they bring in a kid who is NBA ready, they can all grow together. I asked Bernie Bickerstaff a little bit about the defensive concerns that Stephen A. mentioned. He said there's not many kids who would be able to go and play in the NBA and keep up defensively. They all have to be taught to some degree. We can teach him. We can work with him. They're not concerned about that at all. They feel good about this pick.
Rachel, thank you. We'll be checking in with Rachel Nichols throughout the evening in regards to the Charlotte Bobcats and Michael Jordan in his first go-round as their part-time owner. Let's go to Stuart Scott as he is standing by with Adam Morrison. Stuart.
Thanks a lot, Dan, the nation's leading scorer this year. Adam, when you were working out for teams, you worked out for almost everybody. Some players are a little reluctant to do that. Why didn't you hesitate?
You know, I felt it was necessary to, show my skills, and I'm not a very fun guy to watch by myself, I guess, and so I felt it necessary to play against some other guys.
We've talked about your diabetes. Chris Dudley played 15 years in the NBA with diabetes. You've talked with him a lot. What's the best advice he's given you about doing that?
He said keep doing what you're doing, man. Just keep taking care of yourself and, testing your blood sugar, stuff I do all the time now, and he said everything will work out.
After you guys lost in the NCAA tournament, a lot was made about you crying. Not like just a couple of tears, but basically bawling on the court. Why aren't you afraid to show your emotions?
That's how I play, man. I feed off my emotion and the emotion of my teammates, and, it was a tough loss, and, I don't regret it, and I'm looking forward to moving on to the next stage now.
All right, I appreciate it. Congratulations, Adam Morrison. Dan, he listens to Metallica when he works out, so Metallica's coming to Chi-Town.
Yeah, he also said he shed some tears when Rage Against the Machine broke up. Let's bring in Dick Vitale. He is the voice, the face of college basketball. Dickie V, your thoughts on what has transpired so far?
Well, first of all, with Adam Morrison, I think Danny's the most ready player for the NBA to make an impact. I think when you look at Morrison, certainly Brandon Roy and Randy Foye, those three to me are ready to play. You talk about the 7-footers. Problem I have with those 7-footers, Stephen A., I think you agree with me, baby. Basically, they're 7-footers who play like 6'5", 6'6". They don't rebound. They don't block shots. They don't dominate physically. When you talk about Bargnani, Aldridge, they are soft. They have talent. There's no question, and have physical skills. And I hope they're going to be great players. I mean, I look at certainly Toronto. When you think Colangelo, you think Ghirardini, and you think about certainly right now Bargnani. Sounds like an Italian construction company.
We'll be checking in with Dick Vitale throughout the evening. Thank you, Dick. Portland is on the clock. Now, there is the proposed deal, so Portland looks to be making the pick for the Chicago Bulls in that number 2 pick that they originally got from the New York Knicks. Portland is on the clock via Chicago. The commissioner now with the 4th overall pick of the 2006 NBA draft, the Portland Trailblazers.
With the 4th pick in the 2006 NBA draft, the Portland Trailblazers select Tyrus Thomas from LSU.
So remember, this deal was made Portland going to Chicago. So the Bulls drafting LaMarcus Aldridge to ensure that Portland would get him. Now they got their man in Tyrus Thomas, SEC Freshman of the Year. Tyrus' family unable to see him play at the Final Four because they lacked the funds to be able to do that. But the local church getting some money together, taking up a collection so they could see their son play in his coming out party.
And all of a sudden, Chicago gets much more athletic because Tyrus Thomas is a freakish athlete. He reminds you a little bit of Amare Stoudemire. Not quite as big, not quite as strong, but he grabs rebounds off the rim. He's got a wingspan of 7'3", and I'll tell you what, he can really attack the basket. You throw it up there, he's going to go get it. He's also got a very good shooting stroke. Doesn't play much on the perimeter, but he shoots a good ball to 15, 17 feet, and I think he can develop that as he becomes a better player and he gets more experience. His understanding of the game, he's got to improve that. He's got to play more, gain more experience, but end to end, he just glides up and down the floor. I have Tyrus Thomas rated as the #1 overall prospect. I think he's got the best chance to be the best player long term. He's got big time potential, Dan.
5 LSU players have now been taken in the top 5. Pistol Pete, Chris Jackson, Shaquille O'Neal, Stromile Swift, and now Tyrus Thomas. So this is the deal. The Portland Trailblazers have been very, very active here, and this is the deal that they wanted to make sure that they got LaMarcus Aldridge. The Bulls get Tyrus Thomas.
You know, I'm a little perplexed from the Portland Trailblazers standpoint because I don't think that LaMarcus Aldridge was wanted by Chicago nor the Charlotte Bobcats. Both those teams got the players they wanted. So in essence, Portland didn't have to make this trade to get the guy that they wanted. So that's a little disappointing from that perspective. But I will say with Tyrus Thomas, I think the key to his success, I look at him more like Sean Marion than I do Amare Stoudemire. I think he's going to be a natural small forward. He has shown some perimeter skills that will have to be enhanced as he gets into a mode where he can develop summer league and also working with his coaching staff, which he's going to have an opportunity. Scott Skiles, one of the best teachers in the NBA, and that coaching staff, this kid has a chance to be a great player.
Right, two extremes for me. On the end of with Portland, I'm not perplexed about them at all. They look like they don't know what they're doing right now. It's just that simple. They look completely lost considering the trade with Boston, and now this move, they look lost. Maybe we'll find out and discover that they know what they're doing. Doesn't look that way right now. That's all I'll say about them. Moving on to Chicago, Tyrus Thomas. These guys, John Paxson is doing an outstanding job building a Chicago Bulls franchise, and I wouldn't be surprised at all in the next few years if we're talking about the Chicago Bulls winning a world championship. The team that he's putting together with Chandler, with Thomas, with the pieces that they already have in place, Paxson and Scott Skiles are doing a heck of a job.
And remember one thing, they still have a tremendous amount of cap space. So they're going to be players in the free agent market. That's going to allow them to improve that roster even more so. They're still probably one player away. Tyson Chandler may be traded eventually, but this is a team on the upswing as opposed to the Blazers.
And do not be surprised if that player is Ben Wallace. He's an unrestricted free agent. Detroit has every intention of re-signing him. However, Ben Wallace will explore his options, and Chicago is definitely one of those guys at the top of the list.
And there's some talk that maybe Joel Przybilla could end up as the center for the Chicago Bulls. Could. I know it's not Ben Wallace, Stephen, but I'm just here to report the news. Stuart Scott standing by with Tyrus Thomas, now a member of the Chicago Bulls. Stuart?
Well, Dan, some of our NBA analysts might be scratching their head a little bit trying to figure out the trade. Tyrus Thomas, I know you're a kid, play NBA analyst. What do you make of you wearing a Blazers hat but probably not playing for them?
I mean, it's just a blessing to be here. So, you know, I'm in a great situation right now. I'm looking forward to being in Chicago and getting ready to work.
Simone Augustus went #1 in the WNBA draft, fellow LSU star. What did she tell you about dealing with this night?
Just relax, you know, enjoy the moment, go with the flow, and make sure I look nice.
Do you think you look nice? Because you were talking about your suit yesterday.
I think I succeeded.
When you think about the Chicago Bulls, what do you see in that team that fits into what you like?
You know, they're young. They like to run, and Coach Skiles, you know, when I visit with him, he's a great teacher and a motivator, and just the organization as a whole, it has a bright future. So I'm looking forward to do some good things in Chicago.
All right, Dan, he's got some old school in him. He has a tattoo on his bicep from Frederick Douglass. No struggle, no progress. Dan?
All right, Stuart, thank you. And if you need a highlight reel to look at Tyrus Thomas and understand why he's so great and the potential's there, look at the highlight reel back in January when he dismantled Connecticut's front line. Now we go to number 5. We got the Atlanta Hawks on the clock. They passed up Chris Paul last year. Will they pass up another point guard this year? Let's bring in Andy Katz. Andy, what are the Atlanta Hawks going to do?
They are going to select Duke senior forward Sheldon Williams. This has been the lock of the draft the last couple of weeks. I wouldn't call it a promise. It's basically been guaranteed, though, that if he were there, which he is, Atlanta will draft Sheldon Williams. Dan?
All right, Andy, thank you. The Atlanta Hawks, the youngest roster in the NBA, at least last year. The commissioner set with a pick. Already predetermined with Sheldon Williams, number 5, the Duke Blue Devil. Here's the commissioner.
With the 5th pick in the 2006 NBA draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Sheldon Williams from Duke University.
th Duke player selected in the lottery since 1985. Most for any school. Once again, the Atlanta Hawks, the youngest team in NBA history. Average age 23. But Sheldon Williams, the senior forward at Duke, will no doubt provide some leadership. First 4-year player selected in the top 5 since Kenyon Martin back in 2000. Jay, I know you're very high on Sheldon Williams. Of what you can expect, was this a safe pick and the right pick?
Well, the right pick. I mean, they needed somebody to anchor their defense inside and be a presence, but they also needed a point guard. I think it's a good pick because he's going to be an anchor player that's NBA ready right now. Rebounder, shot blocker, kind of like a Dale Davis type with a little bit of a better face-up shot.
All right, let's get Dick Vitale's reaction. He saw a lot of Sheldon Williams games over his 4-year career. Dick, what do you think of the pick?
Well, you know, I echo the same sentiments as Jay. This kid is ready to play. He's not a guy drafted on potential like Marvin Williams last year. Last year, Dan, I screamed on draft night, take Chris Paul. He's ready. Well, I'll tell you this. Billy Knight made a good choice here in Williams because he plays big. He doesn't play at 6'5", 6'6", like some of the big guys. This guy plays bigger than his size. He rebounds, holds position. He's got great footwork inside defensively. Heard Jay break it down last night really well on a preview show, and I'll tell you right now, he's a winner. They got a great kid out in Atlanta in getting Williams.
All right, Dick, thank you. Minnesota Timberwolves are on the clock. Do they want Randy Foye, the talented Villanova guard? Is he a 1? Is he a 2? Is he the next Dwayne Wade? The 2006 NBA draft continues on ESPN, brought to you by Sprite. Randy Foye. Has he heard from the Timberwolves? Is he up next?
The 2006 NBA Draft, presented by Sprite with Lyman, proud sponsor of the NBA, Obey, and in part by EA Sports NBA Live, Hummer like nothing else, and Heineken. It's all about the beer.
The run on big men continues. Atlanta has taken Sheldon Williams, sitting by with Stuart Scott. Stuart?
Thanks a lot, Dan. Maybe the worst kept secret in the draft. I mean, all the other guys were nervous. They didn't know. Sheldon Williams has known that he was going to be a Hawk probably for a couple of weeks now. Hall of Fame coach, one of the best coaches we've ever had, Coach Mike Krzyzewski. What's the best advice that he ever gave you while you were at Duke?
Pretty much my whole time there, he was telling me, just be who you are, keep being yourself, and while you see yourself doing that, you see a lot of success going your way.
When you were in high school, you wore this one of them old school afros. You had Landlord on your socks. After you dunked, you gave a big Tarzan yell. At Duke, you got quiet. All your teammates said you're a hard nut to crack. What happened?
Well, pretty much, going through a new situation and, a different atmosphere. I kind of, try to gel in with my fellow players and fellow teammates. And once I started seeing myself doing that, I started, kind of coming out my shell after that.
A lot of great players at Duke, Dan. This guy, Sheldon Williams, the only guy ever under Coach K to average a double-double for his career.
All right, Stuart, and he's ready to play. This is the reaction of his Duke teammate, J.J. Redick, when Sheldon Williams was selected. J.J. still in the green room. What do you think of this pick, Greg, that they locked in on this perhaps a couple of weeks ago?
It's a concern for me. Now, I think Sheldon Williams has proven to be a solid prospect, but the reality is you had a chance to get a potential star when you talk about a Randy Foye and also Marcus Williams in a position of need for that basketball team. The NBA, the game is about decision making. It's about the ability of your guards to take over. We've seen it throughout the course of those playoffs this past season, and they had a chance to address that. They failed to do that 2 straight seasons.
I agree with you. However, the Atlanta Hawks did give up 102 points per game and were like 28th in the league, giving up on it on 47% shooting from the field, allowing opponents to do that. Plus, they're the youngest team in the league. There's a guy that played in college significantly, and not only that, ACC Defensive Player of the Year. I like him.
Does Randy Foye make more sense, though, with this team?
Well, I had Randy Foye rated ahead of him, as did I had Brandon Roy rated ahead of him. But he's going to anchor your defense for a long time and be solid, efficient, and productive.
Minnesota's on the clock. Here's the commissioner.
With the 6th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Brandon Roy from the University of Washington.
Highest Washington player drafted, surpassing Detlef Schrempf, who went 8th overall back in 1985. His father, an ex-Marine. You're looking at the Pac-10 Player of the Year. Maybe the most well-rounded player going in. Offensively, defensively, he's improved his shooting. The first guard selected in the 2006 draft. Jay, your thoughts on Roy?
Well, I think you're right in saying that he's the best all-around player. I think he's the most complete player in this draft. He's got the complete package. He is a very gifted passer, and that's the thing I like about him best. He can really pass the basketball. He can play out on the perimeter. He can handle it, and he's a good athlete. People talk about a lack of athleticism. I think he is a solid athlete. He puts the ball on the floor. He's got great hesitation moves, spin moves. He's at his best when he goes off the bounce, but he can also shoot the ball from the perimeter, and his ability to put it on the floor really sets up his ability to shoot the ball. He's 6'6", he's got long arms, and he can initiate offense for you. That means he can bring it up and essentially operate as a point guard. He's an outstanding defender as well, and he gets to the free throw line. We're talking about him going off the bounce. He's got a unique ability to get to the line. His defense, I think, is terrific. He can guard multiple positions. Brandon Roy, I think, has the chance to be a really, really good basketball player. Is he going to be great? Well, that's another question, but I think he's going to be really good for a long time.
Well, the other thing I like about him, he's a character guy, and he's also a leader out on the basketball floor. That's something that the Minnesota Timberwolves have lacked. Kevin Garnett, is as great as he is, not really the leader type, and I think they missed that once you saw a guy like Sam Cassell leave there. Getting him there, a character guy with leadership skills, plus the overall basketball ability, a huge plus for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Also think this speaks to Marco Yarick. The Minnesota Timberwolves, specifically Coach Dwayne Casey, does not like his point guard at all. He's looking for a guy like Brandon Roy to step up in there and produce. I am wondering, though, what this says about Rashad McCants, because he came out, they got him last year. You're kind of wondering, because Brandon Roy can fill in that hole as well. You're kind of wondering what they're feeling about McCants right now. But other than that, I really do like the pick.
All right, Boston is on the clock right now, but they are picking for the Portland Trailblazers in a deal that went down before the draft began about an hour ago. Let's bring in Rick Bucher. And Rick, how does the draft pick of Brandon Roy impact what the Portland Trailblazers are going to get here with this pick?
It has a huge impact because indications were that the reason that they made the move for the number 7 pick is that they hope to have Brandon Roy in this spot. Now, obviously, he's gone, so that they've got to make a decision. The Houston Rockets had the number 8 pick. They were also hoping that Brandon Roy would fall to them. Look for them to move out of that spot now and potentially move the number 8 pick to Memphis for Shane Battier.
All right, Rick Bucher. So a little bit of an intrigue. The Portland Trailblazers have been involved in quite a bit so far. Let me canvass the room here on what is going on right now and how this draft pick of Roy is going to impact the next couple of picks.
Well, it opens up Randy Foye.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Randy Foye could be the Rookie of the Year next year. I mean, he is powerful. He is strong. He is a big-time player. And with him available at number 7, I don't care who you're drafting for, who you are, you take Randy Foye. I think he's the best player available.
I agree. I think the thing about Randy Foye, I don't think the comparisons of Dwayne Wade are right. I look at him more like a Chauncey Billups type of a player who's a guy who can play some 1, some 2, also can defend both those positions, plus his toughness. And again, you'll hear me harp on his decision-making. This guy makes good decisions in critical junctures of a basketball game, something that Portland doesn't have right now. But they should have had a plan B in place once they made this deal in terms of not being able to get the guy they had coveted first and foremost. That's a huge mistake by Portland.
All right, let's go over to Stuart Scott. He's standing by with Brandon Roy. Stuart.
Dan, thanks a lot. We were almost here 4 years ago with this guy. Brandon, you applied for the NBA draft coming out of high school, then you withdrew it. I know you don't regret that decision, a good last 4 years, but at what point did you come closest to at least wondering, I wonder what could have happened if I had gone to the pros out of high school?
Actually, I don't look back at it at all. You know, I see how far I've come over 4 years, and I know it was the best thing for me. Coach Romar has, done a great job with developing me and continue to make my game better. So I don't look back at it at all.
When you came out of high school, your test scores weren't that good. You actually worked as a janitor at a blue-collar company on the Seattle docks, sweeping while you studied for your SATs. Talking with your coworkers, grown men, what did you learn about life?
I learned that life is hard. Those guys went through struggles that I never dreamed of. I mean, they have to go to work a lot of hours and don't get paid a lot. So it really made me value basketball and what basketball can do for me and my family.
All right, congratulations. Dan, when he retook the SATs, his scores improved so dramatically that they red flagged him. They thought something was up, made him take it again, and they improved again.
Thank you, Stuart. He was going to go to Arizona, loved Lute Olson, ended up at Washington, and a great career. Now, welcome to the NBA. We've talked about the volatility of this draft. You're looking at one of the most talented players in America right now, Rudy Gay. He's sitting there. He's waiting. Houston's on the clock. Is Rudy Gay next?
I'm ready to get this started, man. What time is it? 7:16. Gosh. I'm ready to get this over with, man. Ain't looking good. Ain't looking good. Oh my goodness.
Slipping, in your opinion, or is he going to fall to where you expected?
Any of the top 8, you can flip-flop them, move them around. It all depends on what you want at a particular pick. I mean, we thought that Rudy Gay could wind up at number 8, and Houston would be thrilled to get him if they could. I think it would be a great pick at number 8. Who expected him to be down that low? But we all felt like it could happen. Somebody was going to have to fall to 8 in this draft.
I think the other thing when you talk about Rudy Gay, I think he's been unfairly criticized because they felt like he wasn't as explosive. You got to remember, this guy played with 3 other guys who are going to probably go in the first round, and he's the youngest guy on that team. And I don't care how talented you are, you're going to defer to upperclassmen when you're an underclassman and you play with the kind of talent that he played with. That's not really an indictment on his talent. This guy, I think, ability-wise, probably the most talented player in this draft. But unfortunately, because he didn't get the chance to shine like an Adam Morrison because of his overall skill level on that team, that's hindered him at this level in terms of the draft. But he will be a great player in the NBA.
Unfair or not, fair or unfair, the bottom line is you had executives in this league saying if you're a bona fide star, you don't defer to other players in big moments. You defer to the coach, but not to other players. That's been a knock on him. I'm not saying it's true or not because I haven't seen him play that much, but I know he's highly skilled. I think that it would be a perfect pick for Houston because especially with questions about Tracy McGrady and his back and what have you, I think it would be an ideal pick.
There's no knock on talent. He's a tremendous talent. The knock is just, is he assertive enough to be a star? I think he can be. He's still a really young player. I mean, he's younger than Andrea Bargnani. It's going to take him a little bit of time to mature and blossom into a star, but I think he can. I agree with Greg.
Well, we had this discussion the other day, Jay and I. Remember, there are 2 guys that were in similar scenarios to him. Now, I don't want to compare him to Michael Jordan, but Grant Hill was in a similar scenario when he played with Christian Laettner and Bobby Hurley. He had to defer. Even though he was the most talented player his freshman year, he still had to defer to those guys because they were leaders and they had set the tone for how that team was going to be played. And that, to me, shows he's coachable because you don't want a guy trying to come in and take over when you have established talent out there.
True indeed, but Michael Jordan helped himself by saying the only person that could stop me is Dean Smith. And that's the point.
Well, Jim Calhoun
didn't say that. Exactly.
MJ didn't say that. Other people said that.
Well, yeah. MJ said it too. MJ said it too. I'm here to tell you.
The Boston Celtics are on the clock, but whoever they pick, he's going to Portland. Who will it be? And here's the commissioner to bring that to you.
With the 7th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Randy Foye from Villanova University.
Randy Foye, Is he a point guard? Is he a two guard? As great as he is, you put the ball in his hands towards the end of the game and you can't go wrong. Highest Villanova player drafted was Jim Washington back in '65, but Foy going number 7. Once again, Boston picking for Portland. So Portland gets their point guard, and they also get their big man, LaMarcus Aldridge. So Randy Foy, raised by his grandmothers. Talk about a difficult situation growing up in. A guard-heavy team, Villanova, led by Randy Foy. Speaking of Villanova, their head coach standing by.
Jay, you have heard so many of our experts talk about the fact that 2-3 years from now, Randy could be the guy that shakes out as perhaps the best player in this draft class. Why is that?
Well, I think his versatility. You know, he's a character guy, and he can play any position. And most importantly, he's a great competitor. You know, he's willing to do whatever his coach asks him to do, whatever the team asks him to do, and that usually turns into a pretty good player.
You heard Dan chronicle some of the hardships personally that he's been through off the basketball court with his living situation. What do you as coach tell a guy that has endured so much in how to get by at the next level?
Well, he might have had some difficulties in terms of his parents, but he had great people around him. His godbrother Z, his Aunt Ruth is here, and his high school coaches. He really had good people around him, and he has a great knack for listening to the right people. So he's done a lot of it on his own.
All right, thanks a lot, Jay. Back to you guys.
All right, Mark. His dad died when he was 3. His mother gave birth to Randy Foy when she was only 14 and gave him up for adoption at 6, but ended up with his grandparents, and they raised a great kid, great basketball player. We bring in Dick Vitale. Dick, your thoughts on Randy Foy?
Well, I'll tell you this right now, Dan, when you talk about Portland, they had so many problems off the court. Now they've added so much character, bringing guys like Aldridge and certainly Mr. Foy. I think Foy, despite what some might say, I think he does have a lot of Dwayne Wade. I think the similarity, and certainly Tom Crean, who coached Wade, was such an intense teacher. The same with Jay Wright. Both guys have done a phenomenal job getting the most out of him. When I look at Foy, he's a combo guard. I ask a question, if I'm Boston, would you rather have Telfair over Mr. Foy? I don't know. I love Foy. I agree with Jay Billis. Instant impact player. I had Thomas and Foy rated very high. I think that's a steal for them to get him where he is, and I really believe he will be. I'll answer it. I told Stephen A. last night on his show, he's Dwayne Wade, baby.
Thank you, Dick. He could also be a Ben Gordon type, too. When you look at the talents, you can't underestimate the toughness of this kid, and certainly what he came through, and as you look at what he meant to that Villanova team.
He's powerful, and he makes challenge shots. Randy Foy will not fail in the NBA. When you talk about guys who were the most impressive in workouts, and you ask all the guys, who did you love the most? Who really impressed you the most? Everybody said Randy Foy, big-time player.
There's no doubt about it. Everyone I talked to was very much in love with Randy Foy. The question is whether or not he could actually even be the #1 pick in this draft. So his talent is unquestioned. And finally, Portland has made a move that I think is going to benefit their basketball team by acquiring Randy Foy.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm sad. I feel bad for the guy because he's in Portland as opposed to Boston or Minnesota. Because when you look at the situation that's developing, you got an opportunity to play with Kevin Garnett, but they made the right pick for themselves. You look at Boston, some of the things with Paul Pierce and everything else, that's a better situation for him. As explosive as he is, he's in a rebuilding situation, and that much is clear. And in that regard, I feel bad for him.
Is he a point guard?
He can play point. I mean, he's just a player. I don't think you can pigeonhole him into a position. Randy Foy is a player.
All right, he's standing by with Stuart Scott. Stuart.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Tough enough growing up in Newark, the Brick City. Tougher for you. Dan mentioned it. Your father died in a motorcycle accident when you were young. Your mother then left. How has that affected you in your life?
It helped me out a lot, you know. Like, I never use that for excuse. Like, I always try to use it to motivate me. So when I think about my moms and my pops, it just motivates me even more to just go out there and play as hard as I can.
The guys are just talking. What are you? You can score. You play point. What pro position are you?
I'm a guard. Like, I don't say I'm a 1 or a 2. I could play any position you want me to play or you need me to play, or I could guard anybody you need me to guard. So I just look at myself as being a guard. They could do everything.
Before his freshman year in college, Dan, he admitted that he was scared, but recently he just said, I'm a man now. I'm all grown up. All grown up with an NBA life, Dan.
All right, Stuart, thank you. And a great rebounder. Average almost 6 rebounds per game this year for Villanova. Houston's on the clock. Let's go to our NBA insider, Rick Bucher. What's in store for the Rockets, Rick?
Well, they are expected to take Rudy Gay with this selection. However, don't look for him to be playing alongside Tracy McGrady. The plan is to take Rudy Gay here and move him to Memphis for Shane Battier. Obviously, they'd like to play Tracy McGrady at the 2-guard spot. Shane can play the 3. That's not the type of position that they could get out of this pick with Gay.
So could he be headed to the Memphis Grizzlies? Jerry West working a little bit of his magic behind the scenes here with the Houston Rockets on the clock right now. But will that pick stay in Houston, or is Rudy Gay headed to the Memphis Grizzlies? The commissioner joins us now with the 8th pick in the NBA draft.
With the 8th pick in the 2006 NBA draft, the Houston Rockets select Rudy Gay from the University of Connecticut.
One of possibly 4 Connecticut players selected in the first round. One of possibly 6 Connecticut players selected in the first 2 rounds. As you heard our analyst, you can't argue with the talent level of Rudy Gay. But is he a go-to guy? Does he sometimes disappear? Was it the same knock that we heard on Charlie Villanueva? And we certainly know what he did in his rookie year in Toronto. First team All Big East, 6'8", 222 pounds, and with Houston now, but that hat could change, Jay.
Well, that's a very good comparison, I think, to Charlie Villanueva, because I questioned Villanueva and how tough he would be, what his work ethic would be like. And Rudy Gay, I think, is an outstanding prospect. Incredibly athletic. He's 6'9", he's got really long arms, a wingspan of about 7'3", so he plays bigger than his size. He's got every skill, every tool, every piece of ability that you would want in a player. The question we've talked about, his assertiveness. I think he still tends to rely upon his jump shot a little bit too much. I think he's got to learn to put the ball on the floor and attack the basket more off of the dribble to become as explosive off the dribble as his athleticism says he should be. He's outstanding in transition. We're talking about, though, his assertiveness. Can he or will he take over? I think if you give him some time and you teach him, I think he'll be able to do that. He comes out of a great system that produces quality pros in UConn, and he knows how to work. You play for Jim Calhoun, you know how to roll up your sleeves and go to work. Rudy Gay will do that.
And also some questions about his ball handling skills. The assist-to-turnover ratio is obviously an issue with him, but now the possibility of him going to Memphis, let's look at that scenario, Greg.
It's interesting. I think a lot of what Jay just talked about is part of the issue. I don't know that he's quite ready yet to become that first or second scoring option. That's why I thought he would have been a great fit in Houston, because you have a first and second option with Yao Ming and Trace McGrady. Plus, defensively, I think he can have a huge impact. The other thing is this. Connecticut's players, when they come to the pros, they all impact the game. They are all very well prepared to play at the professional level. I don't think he's any different.
That's exactly why this makes absolutely no sense to me if you're Houston. I don't know why you would let him go for Shane Battier. The fact is, they were 29th in the league in scoring and in field goal percentage shooting. This guy is an offensive-minded player who can give you something. And when you look at what Shane Battier is going to give you, I know he's solid. I'm not knocking him by any stretch of the imagination. But you need some points playing for Jeff Van Gundy. And this is a guy that can get it for you, can help you get some more. You make this move, I don't like it.
Well, what Battier can do is make open shots. As the second guy, second pass out of a double team, he can knock down perimeter shots, and he's going to upgrade your perimeter defense right away. Rudy Gay is probably a better prospect down the road, but I agree with Greg. You're going to have to wait a little while before he's assertive enough to be a star.
And remember, with Houston, they lack athletic ability. That's one of the big problems with that team. You need to surround Yao Ming with quality athletic players who can go and make hustle, effort, skill plays. Rudy Gay gives them that. I don't know that Shane Battier provides that.
As I mentioned at the outset, this is a big night for Connecticut basketball because you could have as many as 6 players from this team selected in the first 2 rounds. And one of those players is Hilton Armstrong, expected to be a first-round draft pick. His reaction when Rudy Gay was selected by the Houston Rockets, but destination could be Memphis. Let's go to Stuart Scott standing by with Rudy Gay.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Wearing a Houston Rocket hat, but maybe headed to Memphis. Rudy, what's your gut reaction when you first heard that you may be playing for the Grizzlies instead of the Rockets?
At this point, I'll be ready to play for anybody who picks me. So, whatever happens, I'll be ready.
A lot of people, our analysts, people in the media, nobody questions your talent. They question your motivation. They question your drive. Your coach, Jim Calhoun, even said it was tough to motivate you. He said, if you don't expect it from him, you won't get it. How much truth is there to that?
I don't think it's a lot of truth to that. I think I have the drive to be the best player, one of the best players I can be, one of the best players in the league at some point. So, I'm going to work my hardest to try to, like I said, just be the best player I can be.
You worked out personally with Michael Jordan at what point? What did you show MJ that you think surprised him?
That surprised him? Just the fact that I have more in my game than, just dunking and shooting threes. It's a mid-range game, and I'm kind of tricky in kind of some of the things I do, and I'm more of a player than what he thinks.
All right. How many diamonds? 1, 2, 3. Dan, we don't have enough time to count these. I'll be in the hundreds by the time I throw this back to you.
And he's got an opportunity to buy a few more diamonds. Is he buying them in Houston or Memphis? Rudy Gay, the 8th overall pick. Let's go to Dick Vitale. Your reaction to Rudy Gay's pick.
Well, I think Jerry West and Mike Fratello are geniuses. I think to get Rudy Gay now in that move, I can't understand it. I agree with Greg Anthony. Why would Houston, where they need an athlete, allow this kid to get away? I mean, he's got a world of potential. His biggest dilemma, as Jay said, is one word: focus, focus, focus. Played for a great coach in Jim Calhoun. Now he goes to Mike Fratello, who's a teacher and who's a motivator. I really believe he's going to excel in Memphis, and I say a salute to Mr. West. He is always one step ahead. The guy's a workaholic.
Thank you, Dick. And if you look at the Connecticut Huskies and some of the players that have been taken recently, Emeka Okafor, Ben Gordon, Ray Allen, Donyell Marshall, and now Rudy Gay, a talented list and more players to follow here in the first round. We said it was going to be unpredictable. It has been so far. The Celtics and the Blazers pulling off a trade earlier this evening. Here's the paperwork on it. Sebastian Telfair goes, also a second-round draft pick in a couple of years. They get Randy Foye. They also get Dan Dickau and Raef LaFrentz. And then you had Portland getting involved with the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls end up with Tyrus Thomas, who was number 1 on Jay's talent list. And then you have LaMarcus Aldridge going to the Portland Trailblazers. The Rockets and the Grizzlies, the deal that is just going down as we speak. Shane Battier will give the Houston Rockets an outside shot. Also some veteran leadership. Rudy Gay is headed to join Jerry West. Golden State on the clock. Here's the commissioner.
With the 10th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Patrick O'Brien from Bradley University.
Just a sophomore, late bloomer, wants to be a chef.
Yeah.
He's cooking right now in the Bay Area. The 5th Bradley player taken in the first round. Golden State has missed the playoffs 12 consecutive years. That's the longest active streak in the NBA. Is this the first step towards regaining respectability for the Golden State Warriors? He's Patrick O'Brien. Is he a project, in your opinion, Jay?
It's going to take him a little while. He's not ready and not strong enough to step in right away. It'll take a year or two for him to be prepared, but he has great hands. An NBA veteran executive raved to me about his wonderful hands. Really good footwork. He's got a chance to be pretty good. Block shots with either hand. 7'5" wingspan. He's 7 feet tall. He just needs a lot more strength. He needs to learn how to hold his position, get a stronger base. He's not a great athlete, but a good athlete, and he is starting really to come on as a player. Although I think at number 9, he's a good pick, but he can go either way. He can be really good, or he can be just okay in the NBA.
I think the one benefit he's going to have is he's going to be surrounded by a lot of skilled players. Remember, the Golden State Warriors are like a donut. They got everything around but that middle field, and this guy's going to have an opportunity to develop with a great set in terms of that backcourt. When you look at Richardson, and you also look at a guy like Baron Davis, you got Mike Dunleavy Jr., you got who else has we got there? You got a Donald Foyle, but I'm not talking about Troy Murphy's the guy. who comes to mind for me. Those guys are going to all benefit him because they'll take pressure off him and allow him to play to his strengths. I think it's a great pick for Golden State.
Skilled players, but players who play like individuals instead of playing as a team. There's a reason they haven't won in 12 years, and that's really what this comes down to. Do I like this kid from what I've heard of him and what I've seen from him? Sure, I like him a little bit, but at the same time, he's going to a situation where he needs to develop, and I don't know how much he's going to develop. I got confidence in Mike Montgomery, but still in all, it's still shaky.
Second Bradley player ever taken in the top 10. The only other player, the great Hersey Hawkins. News of another big deal. We'll have that for you. Seattle is on the clock. You're watching the 2006 NBA Draft presented by Sprite.
Hey, I'm Rodney Carter from the University of Memphis. Wait, hold on.
Hey, I'm feeling. I'm sorry about that. And you're watching the ESPN Draft on ESPN.
Promised news of another trade. We'll have that coming up. Patrick O'Bryant with Stuart Scott now.
Nickname is Big Pappy and Big Peasy. Before the NCAA tournament, nobody knew who you were. What's the best thing about your game, Bryant, that people don't know?
Yeah, I have to say probably shot blocking. That's probably what I do best, and rebounding.
And I hear you cook pretty well.
Yeah, I'm pretty good, I think.
You want to be a chef. What do you cook for your teammates?
Most recently, I was making cheesecake a lot, and everybody seemed to like that, so I was doing pretty good.
All right, cheesecake works. You can cook dinner for the crew after the draft is over.
Think about it.
Dan, both of his parents played basketball at NAIA William Penn University. His mother still holds a shot block record there.
All right, Stuart, thank you. And as Jay Billis pointed out, probably a project right now, maybe a couple of years away from helping Mike Montgomery and the Golden State Warriors. We promised it was going to be volatile, unpredictable, and it continues to be that. Let's bring back Andy Katz, our NBA insider. What do you have for me now?
Dan, multiple sources have told us that Minnesota and Portland will swap the 6 and the 7 picks. So that means Brandon Roy going from Minnesota to Portland. So they get one of the local guys. Randy Foye, who was drafted by the Celtics for Portland, you can follow me, will go to Minnesota and be their lead guard. Now also Seattle up next. They've been trying to trade this pick throughout the last couple of days at number 10. Their last suitor was Philadelphia with a 10 and 13 swap. They weren't able to get that done. 5 teams called, so right now Seattle keeping this pick at number 10.
Seattle is on the clock right now. We'll get to the commissioner coming up in regards to their pick. They going big? They going small? It's been unpredictable so far. Here's the commissioner, Seattle Supersonics.
With the 10th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Seattle Sonics select Mohamed Sene from Senegal. Mohamed is here.
Saïr Sene, the 20-year-old center from Senegal. Sonics have selected a center 3 consecutive years in the first round. Wingspan of 7'8", that's the largest of any player in the draft. Seattle's still looking for a center, Jay.
Well, they're still waiting on Robert Swift, who they drafted a couple of years ago, and he is coming on and starting to play better and better. This guy is a project, Sene, and he's got a chance to be good. He's a big-time shot blocker. He can rebound. He's very, very raw offensively. Doesn't really have a clue what he's doing right now on the offensive end, but he's got a chance to be pretty good. The thing about Sene, you can leave him overseas. You don't have to bring him over right now, so it gives you some time. You can leave him over there.
Let's bring in Fran Fraschilla. As I mentioned at the outset of the draft, nobody has covered the international beat as well as the former college coach who joins us now. When you look at Saïr Sene, as you said, he's as raw as sushi. Has he upgraded that when you first saw him to maybe, I don't know, medium rare?
Well, I gave him a layup drill 2 years ago at the Reebok Euro Camp. It didn't matter, Dan. He could touch the rim on his tippy toes. But here's the bottom line. He is raw. Jay is exactly right. The interesting thing about this young man, he was not on NBA radar screens because he was playing in Belgium and only averaging about 3 points a game. He had 9 blocked shots in the the Nike Hoop Summit back in April, And really, to me, this could be some trickery because this young man is at least 2 years away. Defensively, he could be a game changer, but offensively, he has a lot of work to do. And Jay's right, they may put him in Europe, but Seattle has Jack Sikma, who is now trying to develop Robert Swift, Joan Petro, and now Sayer Sene, who is absolutely long, but has some work to do.
And as you mentioned, he'll probably spend the next couple of years in Europe. But if you're going to learn in regards to learning post move, Jack Sikma, one of the best. Great feet, great shot, great hands. Your thoughts on what Seattle's doing?
Oh, in part, this is a business move for the Seattle Supersonics. This is not a franchise that's really looking to spend a lot of money right now. They have a lot of issues there with the new arena. And for them, this is more a matter of trying to put something away that may benefit them in 2 years. They really don't have a severe weakness other than their ability to impact the defensive end of the interior. If he pans out, it's a great move for them down the line.
My only problem with it is that it's the 10th overall pick in the draft. I mean, can't you experiment with down the line and free agency or something like that? I mean, it's the first round, the 10th overall pick. There's a lot of talent to be had out there. I just wish they didn't use this pick just to have somebody to throw overseas for a little while. That's all I'm saying.
Trying to sell, don't have to pay him. You can leave him over there, maybe he'll get better.
Orlando is on the clock. Is this where J.J. Redick is headed to? Or maybe somebody else? Sitting in the green room, we have as many as 20 potential first-round picks. J.J. Redick, will his name be called by the Orlando Magic? Our experts think that could be a great pick. Ronnie Brewer, talented guard out of Arkansas, following his dad to the pros.
Can you see the real me?
The Orlando Magic on the clock. They picked an international player last year. #1 pick, Fran Vasquez, stayed overseas. The Orlando Magic on the clock. Let's welcome back to the commissioner. And the 11th pick overall in the 2006 draft, belonging to the Orlando Magic. Could it be Brewer? Could it be Redick?
With the 11th pick in the 2006 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic select J.J. Redick from Duke University.
All-time leading scorer, ACC history. Great range, NBA range. One of the greatest shooters in NCAA history. Ronnie Brewer can only look on and applaud as J.J. Redick putting on the Orlando Magic hat. He may feel like he's going to Disney World. Let's go to Dick Vitale. Dick, you saw a lot of those Duke games this year. Your thought of Redick going to Orlando and how does he fit?
Well, you know, Dan, right now, if I'm Jameer Nelson and I'm Dwight Howard, I got to be on cloud 9. I salute Otis Smith and Brian Hill making that choice. I think a terrific choice. Last year, I think they spent too much time talking to Mickey Mouse and Goofy and Donald Duck when they took Vasquez over guys like Sean May and Danny Granger. But they made a great choice. J.J. Redick can play in that league. He dominated on a collegiate level for 4 years against a lot of guys that are playing in the NBA. We have a tendency to look at this kid, find all his warts. Bottom line is, he can play. And let me say this, in 28 years on ESPN, Dan, I have never seen a player take the abuse that he has taken on the road, and he always responded. Bottom line is, ask the Gary Williams, the Skip Prossers, the Roy Williams, all the coaches that had to prepare against him. And remember this, in the NBA, he's not going to face double and triple teams and all the kinds of special defenses. A salute to Orlando. And JJ, you better get me some free tickets, baby, after all the publicity I gave you.
Thank you, Dick. You look at the resume of J.J. Redick, the all-time leading scorer in ACC history. Last time 2 Duke players drafted in the lottery, 2002, Jay Williams and Mike Dunleavy. Guys, let's look at, is this the perfect fit for J.J. Redick? We had talked about Houston as a possibility. Now it's Orlando, Jay.
It's a good fit because he's playing with the guy that commands double teams, and that's Dwight Howard. So he can be a guy that gets the ball on the perimeter out of a double team and can knock down shots. And, you know, I think people are going to say, well, wait a minute, what about back in '99 when Trajan Langdon got drafted. I think it was number 11 going to Cleveland. People liking maybe he's another Trajan Langdon. I don't think so. I think he's a little bit better of an athlete. He's got a quicker trigger on that shot. He's not a great athlete, not a great defender, but this kid can absolutely shoot it. And with the way the games are being called now, and you guys would know this better than I would, I think he's a better pick this year than he would have been several years ago.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And I think he's a solid player. It's a little interesting for me because actually I don't think Dwight Howard, as great as he is quite at the level where he commands a double team yet. They don't feature that kind of player. And remember who he's going to be playing with, Jameer Nelson. So you don't have a lot of athleticism in that backcourt, nor an ability to defend. However, you do have the great shot blocking of Dwight Howard. And again, I am a big J.J. Redick fan. I think the guy can flat out shoot the basketball. He can score the basketball. You don't score 27 a game at the collegiate level against the competition he played against unless you can play the game of basketball.
I absolutely love this pick. Make no mistake about it, because I think Dwight Howard is getting better and better with each passing season. And when you look at the development of Jameer Nelson, how he continues to improve as well, how he has the ability to feed open guard and penetrate into the teeth of a defense and hit the open man, I think Dwight Howard will attract double teams. I think Jameer Nelson is going to create havoc himself, and I think that's going to lead to open shots. And we all have seen what J.J. Redick can do when he's open. I love this pick. I love it.
A starter?
Yeah, I think he'll be a starter because he's got that special skill. I mean, he can absolutely shoot it. His athleticism, I still think a question mark, but he can absolutely shoot the ball, and he plays with poise.
Stuart Scott standing by with the all-time leading scorer in ACC history, J.J. Redick. Stuart?
He's got one of the prettiest shooting strokes we've seen in college basketball in years, but Dickie V touched on it, J.J. Redick. You're always a target of criticism, whether it's for your back, whether it's for the DUI you got. What do you do to repair your image in the court of public opinion?
Well, first of all, the incident was an isolated incident, and I have to be clean from here on out. I understand that, and I'm going to do some community service, whether the court tells me to or not. So I'm looking forward to all of that.
What do you see in the Orlando Magic that makes you think you can fit in there? Nice.
Well, they have great young players. Jameer Nelson and Dwight Howard are two that come to mind right away, and I'm excited about playing with those guys.
Everybody knows about the Duke-North Carolina rivalry, one of the biggest rivalries in any sport. Carolina coach Roy Williams said of you, I don't know of anybody I have admired or respected more than J.J. Redick. What did you think when you heard that?
Well, it's a huge compliment coming from him. He's a great coach, and he's a Carolina guy. I don't think you've ever complimented me. So,
a little bit.
But it was great, and I have much respect for him and the Carolina program.
All right, Dan, we keep talking. He's the #1 scorer in ACC history. Think about this. Michael Jordan, Christian Laettner, David Thompson, Lynn Bias, Ralph Sampson. And none of those guys scored more points in the ACC than J.J. Redick.
Thank you, Stuart. And he improved his game every single year in his 4 years at Duke. New Orleans is on the clock. Here's the commissioner with the call.
With the 12th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Oklahoma City Hornets select Hilton Armstrong from the University of Connecticut.
The senior center in Connecticut. A couple of picks after Rudy Gay goes to Houston, but then gets redirected to Memphis. Hilton Armstrong, 4th center taken so far in the first 12 picks. Marcus Williams also expected to be a first-round draft pick for the Connecticut Huskies. The Big East Defensive Player of the Year. Went to the same high school as Elton Brand in Peekskill, New York. Last 4-year player from Connecticut, drafted in the first round, Travis Knight, 29th overall back in 1996.
Amazing progress as a player, Dan. 3 years ago, I don't think people would have dreamed that Hilton Armstrong would go in the top dozen picks in the NBA draft. He's got an NBA body. He is a rebounder, shot blocker, blocked over 3 shots per game. He's got very good feet. He can really run the floor. Offensively, he's still learning. I think he's a player that's still coming on. But boy, he is big and strong. He can get off of the floor. He goes after rebounds, especially on the offensive end, does a good job. He can hit from about 18 feet, but he's still learning how to play with feel on the offensive end. But I'll tell you what, big body, and he can defend. I think he's going to help New Orleans with his defensive mindedness and his ability to rebound. And he's going to be able to set some screens with that big body.
And Greg, you being a former point guard, you know what Chris Paul's impact was on this team. Are they a playoff team in your opinion?
I tell you what, this guy as a center may have the biggest impact of anybody that's been drafted at that position thus far because, first and foremost, he already has the ability defensively to impact the game, and he's going to play with a great guard in Chris Paul, who's going to get him opportunities on the interior to get easy baskets. When you get easy baskets as a big man, it makes the game so much easier for you. Your confidence level rises. You are able to impact the game more. Plus, he's going to learn from P.J. Brown, who is a similar player. He reminds me a lot of Elton Campbell. Plays a very similar game to Elton Campbell, who had a long career.
I like this pick. They were a decent defensive team anyway to begin with, and when you've got P.J. Brown there to school him and teach him on the fundamentals of the game on a professional level, I just like it. I think it's a good pick by New Orleans.
Second Connecticut player selected, and he's sitting by with Stuart Scott. Stuart?
The first time that Hilton Armstrong ever saw his college coach, Jim Calhoun, he didn't know who he was. How did that meeting go?
It was pretty funny.
What happened?
I was a little, really didn't know who he was. I didn't know about basketball so much at the time. It was college basketball, but my friends don't know who he was, and they thought I was a fool for not knowing.
Your freshman year at UConn, you used to hang around Emeka Okafor. You followed him around like a puppy dog. What's the best advice that the All-American gave you at that time, a young freshman?
Just be patient and stick with it. Good things come when put in a lot of hard work and put the time on it.
All right, congratulations, Hilton. Dan, talk about blossoming. He blocked more shots his first 15 games this last season than he had his previous 3 seasons combined.
All right, Stuart. I like the fact that Hilton Armstrong a couple of days ago called one of his friends and goes, I think I'm going to be a millionaire. Perhaps a couple of times over. His teammate, Marcus Williams, also expected to be a first-round draft pick. Jay thinks he could be the best point guard in the draft, the best pure point guard. Philadelphia is on the clock. Will he be joining Allen Iverson? The NBA Draft on ESPN, brought to you by Sprite. Philadelphia 76ers are on the clock. In fact, ready to make their pick. 13th overall. Here's the commissioner.
We have a trade to announce. The Portland Trailblazers trade the contracts of Sebastian Telfair and Theo Ratliff and a 2008 second-round pick to the Boston Celtics for the contracts of Dan Dickau and Rafe LaFrentz, the draft rights to Randy Foye, picked at number 7, and cash consideration. Okay. Thank you. With the 13th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Thabo Sefolosha from Switzerland.
Talented kid. A lot of teams like his toughness and considered him a riser. More on Sefolosha coming up. Let me give you the paperwork once again on that trade that we talked about earlier. The Timberwolves and the Trailblazers. So Brandon Roy and Randy Foye, but also the Sebastian Telfair deal with the Portland Trailblazers, and the Trailblazers also getting Randy Foye. Second-round draft pick in 2008. So Thabo Sefolosha meeting with the commissioner from Switzerland, actually born in South Africa. Bring in Fran Fraschilla once again, covering the international beat for ESPN the last couple of years. You got a chance to see him up close. Your thoughts of Sefolosha, Fran?
Dan, this guy just broke hearts in Utah and Chicago. Both teams really like this guy. And ask Rodney Carney and Brandon Roy how good he is, because he had great workouts against them. Maurice Cheeks will love this kid's versatility and toughness as well. Yes, he's a good athlete, and he's improved his outside shooting, 43% from the three-point line. But his defensive ability and toughness are going to fit right in with the defensive-minded Maurice Cheeks. This is a sleeper pick for a lot of people who didn't know about him. He averaged 13 points a game in that Italian league that Bargnani played in. More importantly, he's 22 years old and very, very seasoned.
And the first player from Switzerland to perhaps get a chance to play in the NBA, Thabo Sefolosha. And as Fran has been pointing out, one of the high risers here in this draft. Let's go to Andy Katz with more on Sefolosha. Andy?
Well, actually, Fran, the hearts won't be broken in Chicago because Chicago has made a trade with Philadelphia for this pick. This pick was made for the Bulls. They've wanted Sefolosha for weeks now, but they had to get up higher to get him. They convinced Philadelphia to take the deal, so Philadelphia will pick at 16 And now Chicago gets this 13th pick from Philadelphia as they get Cephalosha.
All right, we'll try to sort out the paperwork. Let's go to Stuart Scott standing by with Thabo Cephalosha.
Dan, I think this is the first draft where so many guys come up here and they won't be wearing the hats that they're wearing. In fact, Thabo just said to me, so do I keep the hat on? When you first heard word about the draft and the trade, what did you think?
I didn't know. I think it's great. I'm happy to go to Chicago. I went there for a workout, and I'm looking forward to do good things there.
Why do you think no one heard about you?
I was in Italy, and it just all this came so fast. I didn't even have the time to really realize what happened. But I mean, I don't know.
What's the best thing about being drafted in the NBA on this night?
It's just a dream coming through. So. That's the best. That's the best. It's just great.
All right, you can wear the Philadelphia 76er hat until you get off the stage. They'll give you a Bulls hat soon. Thanks a lot, Thabo. Dan, back to you.
All right, Stuart, considered a jack of all trades, very talented, and once again, a player who's been on the rise in the 2006 NBA draft. The commissioner talked about a deal between the Celtics and the Blazers. I want to give you that paperwork again. We went to it, and maybe you didn't get a chance to digest it, but the Celtics got Sebastian Telfair. Danny Ainge has his point guard, and as a result, the Blazers got Randy Foye, the talented guard out of Villanova. Now, there's also a proposed trade that is waiting for approval, and that is Brandon Roy would go to the Portland Trail Blazers. A Pacific Northwest guy out of Washington would get a chance to play for the Blazers. Meanwhile, the Timberwolves would get Randy Foye. That is a proposed trade right now. All right. You guys want to go with the trade? You want to go to Cephalosha? I feel like I'm landing jets at LaGuardia here.
This is like a lid store at the mall. You know, 2 for 1. Everybody gets 2 hats every time you go up there.
I think it's going to be interesting. I think that's a really good trade from Chicago's standpoint to get this young man because he's a great athlete. He gives him some size. If he can play the 2 guard, I think that's going to be the key for the Chicago Bulls. If he can play the 2 legitimately, I think it really fills in one of the pieces of the puzzle that they were lacking, bringing more athleticism and size to that backcourt. They didn't have that when they played Chris Duhon, Kirk Hinrich, or Ben Gordon. This is definitely an added dimension if he's ready to play.
And Chicago all of a sudden got a lot more athletic with Tyrus Thomas and Cephalosha, and they got a lot more defensive-minded because Thomas can really block shots, and Cephalosha, with his length and his ability to guard multiple positions, he could be one of the top 2 or 3 perimeter defenders in this entire draft.
And you got to be able to play defense for Scott Skiles.
You're damn right.
That's what has me wondering about what the Philadelphia 76ers are doing. You look at the highlights, you hear the descriptions for Cephalosha, and you're wondering, this guy would seem perfect considering how the Sixers struggled defensively, how they struggled with perimeter shooting, other than Allen Iverson and Chris Webber, who took most of the shots anyway. But you know what I'm saying. The bottom line is I'm wondering about the Philadelphia 76ers right now, what they're going to do with that 16th pick. I'm waiting.
Utah's on the clock. Here's the commissioner with that pick. Apparently the commissioner playing peekaboo with us. So there's the commissioner. Oh, you rascal, you.
Dan, I was sitting in the back listening to your pithy comments. Wondering when you might have something nice to say about one of our draft picks.
I always liked Commissioner Tagliabue better than you.
With the 14th pick in the 2006 NBA draft, the Utah Jazz select Ronnie Brewer from the University of Arkansas.
His father, Ron, a member of the Triplets at Arkansas, went to the Final Four. Sidney Moncrief, Marvin Delp. Played 8 years in the NBA. In fact, 7th overall by Portland back in 1978. Only the second Arkansas player drafted in the last 10 years. Joe Johnson, 10th overall back in 2001. So Ronnie Brewer going to the Utah Jazz. Let's go to Mark Jones standing by with his dad, Ronnie Sr.
Dad, you had an 8-year career, drafted 7th overall by Portland back in the day. What's the one best piece of advice you gave your son?
Well, I told him this is going to be a very tough job, and it's a growing experience for him. And day by day, it's a learning experience. And I think that he will end up being a really good pro out there. But the thing about it is, it's a chore, and he got to make sure he maintains his responsibility.
You were rather protective during the recruitment process when represented representatives were going through the process to talk to your son. Why was that?
Well, I know how important it is because I think it's a lifelong decision that you have to make, and we want to make sure that that decision was made properly for Ronnie.
All right, congratulations. Dan, back to you.
All right, thank you, Jonesy. He's a good scorer, but not necessarily a good shooter, Jay.
No, he doesn't have a great stroke, but it's repeatable. He broke his arm when he was a kid, so he can't really get sort of the classic form on his shot. But Ronnie Brewer is a scorer. He's a top-flight athlete. I think he's a very good defender, has the potential to be a good defender. He's very disruptive. He gets steals, but he gambles a lot. I think defensively he's got to get a little bit more discipline, and he will get that over time, especially playing in Utah for Jerry Sloan. But he's a transition athlete. He knows how to score, and I think he's got a pretty good understanding of how to play. He's got an awful lot of potential, I think, to get better and better because of his athleticism. Another one of those guys that's got freaky length to his arms, a 6'11" wingspan for a guy that's 6'6" in height.
Well, the thing about it, remember, his dad played the game, so you know his basketball IQ is going to be there. The athleticism's there. And again, he's a good fit for Utah because he's a slasher, something they don't really possess. Remember, Darren Williams had a great rookie year for them. If they get the same type of impact from this young man, that's a team that's going to be on the rise. I think it's a really solid pick for Utah. Probably not what they had their intentions on initially with how the draft has played out. But again, I don't think they're going to be unhappy with this young man.
Talking about a great basketball IQ because of his pedigree. You're talking about the fact that he's playing alongside Darren Williams, and he's going to be very, very well coached by Jerry Sloan. I think it's a good pickup.
Stuart Scott standing by with Ronnie Brewer. Stuart?
Dan, you guys touched on it. Everybody talks about it, the shot. Ronnie Brewer, instead of the right elbow staying in like most guys, yours flares because you broke your arm when you were a kid. How did you make unorthodox work for you?
Man, I just practiced a lot. I worked with my dad, and I just had confidence in myself. So a lot of people said, don't change my shot, just practice a lot and try to perfect it, and that's what I've been trying to do.
You were a counselor at Michael Jordan's flight school last summer, and you played against MJ one-on-one. What did he say about your shot?
Man, he pretty much told me a lot of people was going to criticize my shot because it doesn't look like the right way to shoot it. He told me just maintain, shoot about 500 shots a day, and make it consistent, and that's what I try to do.
Did you shoot 500 a day?
Man, I was in the gym all day in the summertime.
Then when he broke his arm when he was a kid, it was actually in Fayetteville at a picnic, and a lot of the current Arkansas players then, like Big Nasty Carlos Williamson, they were there. This guy idolized him, so he thought to himself, I can't cry in front of Big Nasty.
Thank you, Stuart. Here's a guy who gets to the line a lot, and he improved as a free throw shooter. Shot 75% in his final year at Arkansas. Here's the commissioner. New Orleans is on the clock.
We have another trade. The Minnesota Timberwolves trade the draft rights to Brandon Roy at number 6 to the Portland Trailblazers for the draft rights to Randy Foye, number 7, and cash consideration. So, okay. With the 15th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Oklahoma City Hornets select Cedric Simmons from North Carolina State University.
Second straight first-round draft pick from the ACC for the Hornets. They took Chris Paul, and that worked out quite nicely. 4th overall in 2005. They also took Hilton Armstrong in the first round, so getting some size inside. Cedric Simmons, sophomore for NC State. Maybe you didn't get a chance to see his athleticism because of the style of play that NC State had, Jay.
Yeah, that's a fair point, Dan. They played more of a Princeton-style offense, and Cedric Simmons, I think, is a pretty darn good athlete. He's got a 7'4" wingspan, so he plays bigger than his height at just about 6'10". He can block and challenge shots. I think he's still raw on the offensive end, and his defense is way ahead of his offense, but he's got some tools to work with. Pretty decent shooting touch. He gets his points mostly around the rim, and he's a very quick jumper with second jump ability. I like the way that he plays, but I think he's got to get better on the offensive end. It's going to take him a while, I think, to improve. He's a little bit of a project.
Bottom line confidence. I like the pick because I think the New Orleans Hornets are getting athletic on their front line, and that's what you need to do. If you've got a great point guard like Chris Paul doing the things that he was able to do last year, and you've got an experienced veteran like P.J. Brown on your front line, you want the kind of picks that they're making because you know that's going to help them defensively, and that's just going to help the team overall.
Let's bring in Dick Vitale. Dick, your thoughts on Cedric Simmons?
Well, you know, Dan, Cedric's the kind of kid, shot blocker, very long, has to really improve offensively, but he's a kid worth taking. In fact, he was one of my sleepers when you talk about guys out of the lottery. I thought a guy like himself, Shannon Brown, and also Sean Williams are three guys that I think are going to be excellent choices for wherever they go. But I love Cedric Simmons' potential. Then we get to that magical word. A lot of this draft, and all the drafts the last few years, are about one magical word: potential, potential, potential.
Thank you, Dick. Cedric Simmons sitting by with Stuart Scott. Stuart.
Cedric, before you all played Duke this year, when you were playing in North Carolina State, they were rated number 1. Somebody asked their All-American, Sheldon Williams, what do you think of Cedric Simmons? And Sheldon's response was, who's he? What did you think about that comment?
I really didn't think nothing much of it. I didn't play much last year. So I just try to get focused on the game and come out with the best performance of the year.
Well, you came out with 28 points, you had 9 rebounds and 7 blocked shots. Your team lost, but what did that game do for you?
It kind of boosted my confidence for the rest of the season. I scored 28 points against Duke at Duke, and that's a tough atmosphere, so yeah, it boosted my confidence.
All right, congratulations. Dan, his dad, Thynell, goes to the games and is very colorful with the officials yelling at them during the games. That's just his baby daddy, that's all.
Thank you, Stuart. And a great rebounder, and as Jay Billis pointed out, maybe some of those offensive stats were stunted a little bit playing on the perimeter in that Princeton-style offense. Marcus Williams, Connecticut Huskies, he's waiting for the call. Chicago's on the clock, but are they picking for the Philadelphia 76ers? The 2006 NBA Draft continues after this.
Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, The Score, home of the hardcore.
Cabo Sevolosha and then trading him to the Chicago Bulls. So Chicago's on the clock, picking for the 76ers. No point guards have been taken yet. Will we get one now? The commissioner now with the pick.
With the 16th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Rodney Carney from the University of Memphis.
Great athleticism. He got it through the family tree. His mother, a member of the 1980 Olympic team, the team that boycotted the games. High school champion high jump in Indiana. 6'11" high jump for a guy who's 6'5". Received the scholarship to Memphis when Quintel Woods decided to skip college and go straight to the NBA. So Rodney Carney, by virtue of the trade between Chicago and Philadelphia, he's now going to the 76ers. Let's bring in Dick Vitale. His thoughts on Rodney Carney. Dick?
Well, you know, Dan, he played for an NBA kind of guy in John Calipari. Certainly John Calipari, familiar with the NBA, does a great job of teaching and motivating and really got Rodney Carney into that kind of system. I also never forget the defensive job he did on J.J. Redick earlier this year. Has a lot of ability. Bottom line is he's got to come to play. Terrific athlete, transition player, and he can make the three. Solid choice. Should really do well in Philadelphia.
Thank you, Dick. And you look at the great athleticism, and I don't think that's ever been in doubt, but what is the big question for you in regards to Carney, Jay?
Well, he doesn't really have a middle game. I mean, he's not just a good athlete. He's a world-class athlete, and has got extraordinary speed from end to end. He doesn't really bounce it, and he doesn't really have a middle game, but he can shoot it from deep, and as Dick says, he can really guard people, and I think that's a real strength of his. But his athleticism could trump the problems that he's got, because I think he can get better in those areas.
I love the pick personally. I think the Sixers need some athleticism. They don't have problems with perimeter shooting, but they got problems with defense all over the place. I think he helped them. I think he helped them with their athleticism because I think they're sorely lacking in some areas there as well. I like this pick.
I question the pick. I like Rodney Carney, but I'm thinking, why aren't you trying to get a guy like Marcus Williams? They need a point guard with Philadelphia, and you got arguably the best point guard in the draft who hasn't gone yet, and that's a position of need for you. Rodney Carney plays a lot like Andre Iguodala does, so there's a lot of similarities there. That's not complementing what Allen Iverson does, or if you decide to trade Allen Iverson, you still need a point guard.
Rodney Carney sitting by with Stuart Scott. Stuart?
The Chicago Bulls had in his head, but going to Philadelphia, what are your thoughts about playing in the city of brotherly love?
Well, and there's going to be a great opportunity. I want to bring athleticism, and as much as I can to that organization. It's a real honor being up here. I got to give my thanks to God and all my family, my girl, everybody.
When you were coming out of high school, you weren't even one of the top 250 players going to college. Why did you fly under the radar?
Well, because basically I didn't play AAU. My high school coach, Bobby Wilkinson, said it gave me bad habits, and I listened to him. I put all my trust in him, and look where it got me.
All right, then. People say more than any other player in the draft, Rodney Carney has been on SportsCenter's top 10 list for some ridiculous dunk, so we expect to see more in the NBA.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot more.
All right.
Got a lot of teams have been very active. The Portland Trail Blazers, also the New Orleans Hornets. Here's a team with 2 first-round draft picks. They've taken Cedric Simmons, also Hilton Armstrong. And you got the GM, Jeff Bauer, joining us now. Jeff, your thought process on, first of all, Hilton Armstrong and what he means for this team.
Well, we're very excited to be adding Hilton. The chance to add, someone with his size, shot blocking, athletic ability to go along with a pretty good set of basketball skills is something that we felt was really needed for us to add.
In regards to the volatility of this first round, we're trying to keep up with it. You're a general manager of an NBA team. How difficult is it for you to keep up with the talent that's available?
Well, the biggest thing that we tried to do, and it's like everybody's trying to do, is have every scenario, mapped out so that when changes happen, you can put contingencies into effect. We didn't expect to be able to draft two bigs. We didn't think we were going to have both of these players available to us, and we're very fortunate and changed our plans when they were sitting there and available.
Jeff Bauer, the general manager of the Hornets, Hilton Armstrong, Cedric Simmons. Jeff, thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Still don't have a point guard taken yet in regards to Marcus Williams, and I know that you've got him pretty high on your draft board.
I had him number 9 on the draft board, and I think he's that good of a player. I think he's the best point guard prospect in this draft. Randy Foye aside, I put him as a 2-guard, a combo guard, and I'll tell you, I don't think Williams should feel bad at all about dropping down this far. From 9 until now, he was caught basically in a need draft situation. All these teams were drafting for need. They weren't just ignoring a point guard. They went to other needs. Marcus Williams, still in my judgment, the best point guard prospect in the draft.
Well, I can guarantee you several of those teams needed a point guard. And again, Marcus Williams, I just said, reminds me a lot of Mark Jackson with the way he plays. He's got a great feel. He's got a huge body. He knows how to utilize his body. Plus, he understands and knows how to play with talented players, having played at UConn with all those great players there. I think he's going to be a tremendous asset to a team once he gets there. It's unfortunate that there's so many questions about his character, because that's really the only reason I see that this guy has not gone higher in this draft.
It is the big question, and it's not necessarily just the character issue. It's the fact that after he had his character issues, what happened is that a lot of people, a lot of executives that I spoke to said he's not in the greatest shape. And I don't know if that's fair to him. I'm not saying that it is fair. What I'm saying is that's what they were saying about him, 14% body fat and all of this other stuff. This is the kind of stuff that they were throwing out about him as recently as last night. It's unfortunate, but I think that's the reason he's dropped in this particular situation.
And you're talking about character issues. He was suspended for a good portion of the first half of the season with Connecticut for stealing computers. Does he fit with Indiana?
I think Indiana wants a point guard, because I know that they're going to look to really make some tremendous changes there. And the position that they're in, they can take the best available player, because they really don't have a lot of weaknesses. Marcus Williams right now, the best available player left.
The commissioner joining us, the 17th pick overall, the Indiana Pacers. The commissioner with that pick. Will they go with Marcus Williams? They need some help at point. Is he their man? The commissioner with the 17th overall pick.
We have a trade. Trade number 3. The Chicago Bulls trade the draft rights to LaMarcus Aldridge, picked at number 2, and a future second-round pick to the Portland Trailblazers for the draft rights to Tyrus Thomas, picked at number 4, and the contract of Victor Harapa. With the 17th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Indiana Pacers select Sean Williams of the University of Memphis. Sean is not here.
Memphis has never had multiple players selected in the same draft, but they have now, back-to-back, Carney and Williams, the 6'8" forward, the freshman of the year in 2006. What stands out, Jay?
Well, a little bit of a stunner, frankly. I had Williams ranked far lower than 17. He's a very gifted athlete. He's got varied skills. He's aggressive offensively. He can shoot it to range. He's a good driver in a straight line, and he's very, very long-armed. He's got a 7'3" wingspan at 6'8". I wonder, though, whether he's a winner. He's physically weak right now. He's got to improve that. He's got to get much stronger, and he's got to be more focused as a defender, as a rebounder. Right now, he's focused only on scoring. And frankly, he's such a young player, he plays only when he feels like it. But he's got all the tools to be a really good player down the line. This is just a surprise to go a little bit higher than I think most people projected him.
You know, the problem for me with Sean Williams, anytime you're 6'8", 6'9", and you shoot 41% from the field, that tells me you don't have a real good feel for how to play the game of basketball. If you were a guard shooting that, I could understand. But when you're a big and your game should be more so focused on the interior, you have to have better shot selection. You have to have a better decision-making process. I think he struggled with that thus far. The hopes is that Indiana's going to be able to rectify that. That's a reach, I think.
What troubles me about it is what Jay alluded to in terms of him playing when he wants to play, focusing on the offensive side of the ball. You can't do that playing for Rick Carlisle. That's simply not going to work. You've got to be disciplined. You've got to have good work ethic. You've got to have focus to play with somebody like a Rick Carlisle. Otherwise, you won't be there for very long, and if you are there, you'll be riding the bench.
Also keep in mind, though, just a freshman, deferred to some of the other players, averaged only 10 shots per game, but a great athlete. But did Indiana make a mistake in not going point?
Well, listen, he's got every tool you would want, every piece of ability. I just had questioned a few things. That doesn't mean he can't answer those questions positively, but I don't know if he's a winner, and I think that's a big and fair question.
Well, I will remind you they did take Danny Granger last year, who proved to be a pretty good player and plays the exact same position, and they're thinking about making moves on that roster, and I think that Jamal Tinsley may be on the way out, meaning they probably do need a point guard.
We are more than halfway through the first round of the NBA Draft. Mark Jones standing by with Danny Granger. Mark?
Danny, what do you think of the pick, Sean Williams? How does he help your team out?
I think it's great. You know, I mean, great athlete, and we need athletes on our team, so it's a great pick for us.
How much better can you guys be with him next year in the lineup, playing a rotation role?
A lot better. I mean, he didn't get a lot of shots at Memphis, but I think he'll come in and help us directly.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Well, somewhere in there was Danny Granger with Mark
He looked
Jones.
good, I thought.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. So Sean Williams going to the Indiana Pacers. And you look at this team and also wonder if they should have gone point guard. If Tinsley is on the way out, was Marcus Williams the right choice for this team?
I think he's a better prospect. I mean, I like Marcus Williams better as a player. I mean, clearly Marcus Williams is a winner. But look, Sean Williams has got every talent. I mean, it could work out to be a pick. He's going to have to wait a while.
Let's bring in Larry Bird, who joins us now. Or do we have Larry Bird now?
I'm here.
Hey, Larry.
Hello.
Well, I can hear you and you can hear me, but I don't think we can see you. And we, of course, don't want to cheat the audience. We would love to see Larry Bird. We'll get to you in a second, Larry. Here I am putting Larry Bird on hold. All right. Go back to Indiana, and you mentioned Granger playing the same position. Does this make the most sense in what the Indiana Pacers are doing?
Well, they're stockpiling. There's no doubt about it. I think the other thing, they are going to be in a period of transition in terms of revamping that roster. There's talk that even Jermaine O'Neal could possibly be traded. So right now, because they haven't determined what direction they're going to go in, it never hurts you to take another great athlete with tremendous potential. However, having said that, again, you don't want to pass on a guy with the unique talents of a Marcus Williams. He could be as impactful in this year's rookie class as anybody that's been selected thus far. Because Mark Jackson had a similar scenario, and I bring him up again. He went really late in that first round, ended up being Rookie of the Year because he's much better than people gave him credit for. And this guy's already rated as one of the top 10 prospects in this year's.
I agree with you, Greg, because when I think about Rick Carlisle again, one of the things that gave him so many headaches was the fact that he wasn't always pleased with his point guard play. Certainly Anthony Johnson stepped up to the plate and did a lot of good things for him, but at the end of the day, if you've got a promising young point guard on a draft board, somebody who could be in the league for years to come and produce for you, you might want to take him at that pick.
You got Washington on the clock now. Where are they going? There's a perimeter team. Are we looking at? You defer to Greg on this?
I think in having spoken with them a little bit, they definitely need help on the interior. There's no doubt about it. I think, remember, they're drafting a little bit late. It's going to be hard to find the kind of impact that they would probably want. I think a guy like Cedric Simmons would have been someone, Hilton Armstrong, they would have been interested in. They're not available, so that changes everything.
We will hear from Larry Bird coming up in a moment, but let's go to the commissioner. The Washington Wizards. Do they need some inside presence? Here's the commissioner with the call.
With the 18th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Alexei Petrov from the Ukraine.
Well, this is a big story in regards to the Ukraine, but not as big as the Ukraine playing Italy in the World Cup coming up on Friday night. Washington, first ever international pick in the first round. Petrov, he was also considered a riser. 20-year-old forward. Let's bring in Fran Fraschilla once again, who has scouted Petrov the last couple of years. Your thoughts on this pick in this position, Fran?
This is a good pick, Dan, for Washington at this position. He is not a project, but he certainly needs a lot of season. One of the things he does very well and may be NBA ready is he's an outstanding rebounder. Now, he shoots it well to 20 feet, but again, polish is still needed. He only started playing the second half of his season in Paris, where he was the player of the month in France. Remember this. France has also produced recently Boris Diaw and Tony Parker. He's got good size, good range. He's a long body. He has filled out in the last 2 years. He may stay overseas another year, but on the other hand, he's a guy that can do a little bit different things. By the way, he had a workout partner for 3 weeks in May in Paris, a guy named Joakim Noah, who was visiting his dad, Yannick.
In regards to Petrov, though, Fran, let me ask you this. Is the perimeter-based team, and he's a guy who can shoot 18-footers. Does he make the most sense for Washington?
Well, what he is, he's a young big. He can rebound. Even though you saw him knock down shots, Dan, this guy had 25 points, 15 rebounds against the United States under-21 team a year ago. So while he's versatile enough to shoot threes, the strength of this young man is going to be as a rebounder. But in my mind right now, he's about a year away.
All right, Fran, thank you. We promised we would talk to Larry Bird. He's been patient enough to stay with us. Larry, your thought process on taking Sean Williams with this pick?
Well, we feel he's a very talented player. He's 6'9". We feel in time he'll be able to play the 4 position and or the three spot, and we feel Danny Granger can play either spot, so we can just switch them back and forth, and I think in the future you'll see both of them playing at the same time.
There was talk leading up to this draft, and if you can separate fact through fiction, was there any talk of trading Jermaine O'Neal?
None at all. A lot of rumors out there, and we don't talk about rumors.
Marcus Williams, a talented point guard. Looking at your point guard situation, are you comfortable enough to bypass him and stay with the point guards you have now?
Well, we're going to look at everything this summer, but obviously Marcus Williams is a very nice player in college, and he's the type of kid that will take over games down at the end. But we felt that Sean Williams is the guy we wanted all along, and we got him.
I asked this to the general manager, Jeff Bauer, of the Hornets in regards to trying to follow the volatility of this first round. Back when you were drafted, we didn't have this as much, the trades and everything that went on. You're following this draft. How difficult is it for you to follow who's being selected?
Well, it's tough because there's about 3 or 4 teams we didn't know which direction they were going to go, so we were just hoping and praying our guy would get to us, and we got very fortunate, I think, tonight.
Larry, thank you for joining us. The Indiana Pacers taking Sean Williams, and once again, we still don't have a point guard taken. You have Sacramento on the clock, followed by the New York Knicks. And speaking of the Knicks, Spike is in the house. We'll check and see if we get a thumbs-up approval when the Knicks are on the clock. But Sacramento is next.
that kind of look, he's money.
Yeah, I'm Denham Brown. You're watching the 206 NBA Draft on the Score.
Nice. Oh, boy. Denham Brown just kept elevating on the play.
2006 NBA Draft brought to you by Sprite. 19th pick overall. It's the Sacramento Kings on the clock. Here's the commissioner with that pick.
With the 19th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Quincy Douby from Rutgers University. Quincy is not here, but he does come from a great university.
Well, the New York crowd loving the Rutgers pick. The junior guard, instant offense. Didn't try out for his high school varsity team until his junior year. The last Rutgers player selected in the first round, you have to go back to 1983. It was Roy Hinson. But Quincy Douby, he can light it up. Great range. And now going to the Sacramento Kings. Jay, your thoughts?
Big-time perimeter scorer. He's another guy at 6'3", 6'4". He's got the wingspan of a guy 6'9". Excellent, excellent shooter. He looks to shoot first and looks to pass third, fourth, maybe fifth. He's a wiry athlete. You can bully him a little bit and get into him, but that shouldn't be as big of a problem in the NBA. He's got a really quick release. And I'll tell you what, he can absolutely fill it up. I think he's got to improve his ball handling skills, improve his defense a little bit. That's probably true of a lot of guards that are two guards, improving ball handling. But I'll tell you what, he can absolutely score.
You know, we talked a lot about Morrison and Roy and Foy as scorers. This guy is their equal in terms of being able to put the basketball in the basket. And this is also a good move from Sacramento's standpoint because Bonzi Wells is a free agent. There's a possibility that they could lose him after the huge impact he had against San Antonio during the playoffs. So this is a good pick for them, a guy who could be a combo guard down the line, gives them some depth. I like this move for Sacramento.
So do I, because not to mention the fact whenever you choose to put Mike Bibby on the bench, you've got somebody you can put in the game that can really light it up from the perimeter. So that's always a good thing, especially for the Sacramento Kings in this situation.
Point guard or two guard?
I think he's a two guard. You're putting him in the game to score. He's not the guy that's going to bring the ball up and initiate offense. He doesn't see the game that way. He sees it to score. And to have a guy who's hungry to score is good. I think he's a steal at 19 and a really good pick by Sacramento.
The New York Knicks are on the clock. There is no home court theater here because this crowd is ready to explode. Spike Lee in the house. Let's look at the moves by Isaiah Thomas in the last 30 months under his leadership. And as you might expect, the crowd reacting to those moves. 25 players traded away, 18 players traded for. They're still paying players. They're still paying coaches. $40 million with Larry Brown. 5 head coaches, now Isaiah Thomas as their head coach. Mark Jones somewhere in the crowd getting reaction from the Knicks faithful.
Yeah, it's been a pretty rambunctious and restless Knicks crew tonight. Lots of players still on the board. Who do they take? Who should they take?
We want Marcus Williams in this draft. We got a young backcourt, but Marcus Williams is talented, is experienced, and we gonna get him, baby. Yeah.
You don't think that you have enough backcourt players already?
We have enough, but we got Nate Robinson who's young, and we're gonna get rid of Steve Francis. We don't need him. And Marbury was questionable. We're gonna bring in some young talent. It was proven last year. Channing Frye, Nate Robinson, baby. Crestwood, baby, let's go.
All right, Dan, it's interesting. I spoke with David Lee of the New York Knicks a few moments ago. He told me that he spoke with Isaiah, expects them to play a little bit more up-tempo next year. He's got 1 year to make it work. That says James Dolan, his boss. Back to you.
All right, Mark, thank you. The New York Knicks with 2 first-round picks. What are they going to do with this? Isaiah's actually had a couple of pretty good drafts. He got Channing Frye last year, who proved to be a very good player. Nate Robinson in the deal with Phoenix. So you have to wonder what he's going to be able to do with these 2 picks in the first round. The commissioner is set to join us with the 20th overall pick in regards to the New York Knicks. Get ready to go to the podium with him and the reaction from this crowd here. at the theater at Madison Square Garden. In fact, the commissioner is reassessing here, I believe. So let me ask you in regards to what the Knicks do with this 20th pick overall.
Marcus Williams is the best prospect on the board, but one thing the Knicks have to have, they've got to have somebody that's going to come in and play his tail off. They need somebody that they can take into a fight, because next year they've got to fight. I mean, it is going to be a fist fight in the league for them to get better, and they've got ultimatums. They've got to win now or people are gone. They need somebody that's going to come in and set a tone of playing hard.
And the reality is they're going to have to make personnel moves. There's no doubt in anybody's mind, nor in their mind, that they're going to have to make decisions in terms of their personnel. If you got a chance to pick at 20 and get a top 10 prospect in Marcus Williams, I don't think you can afford to pass that up. I think he has too much value and could have a tremendous impact for the New York Knicks, because, again, don't expect to see the Knicks today come the regular season. That team is going to be changed and changed dramatically.
Forgive my nostalgia. I'm a born and raised New York, okay? You have got to get a dog in this roster. I don't care where you find them. I don't care. You got to get somebody that's going to be in people's face. It's going to be hardcore. You look at Isaiah Thomas and his draft history. You know, your Damon Stoudemire, Marcus Camby, Tracy McGrady. Last year's draft, you know that he knows talent. Let's find out if he still knows some talent, because I'm here to tell you something right now. This pick has got to work. It has got to work.
Well, they've run out of time here, which I think sums up the New York Knicks in regards to this pick. The commissioner set to bring you the New York Knicks pick at number 20, and this place is ready to erupt.
We have a trade. The Philadelphia 76ers trade the draft rights to Thabo Sefolosha, picked at number 13, to the Chicago Bulls for the draft rights to Rodney Carney, picked at number 16, a 2007 second-round pick, and cash consideration. With the 20th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the New York Knicks select Ronaldo Balkman of the University of South Carolina. Ronaldo is not here.
And it's probably a good thing. The third SEC player drafted this year. Only one went in the first round last year, and that was David Lee, who went to the Knicks. Ronaldo Balkman. And keep in mind, the Knicks have not drafted an All-Star since Mark Jackson in 1987. Jay, break him down.
Well, he was the MVP of the NIT. I'm stunned. I'm stunned. I mean, this goes along with what I said about drafting a guy that was going to come in and play his tail off. But frankly, Ronaldo Balkman's a second-round talent. Can he come in and run the floor? Absolutely. He's a terrific athlete. He can really get up and down the floor. But you're talking about a guy who's 6'5", about 210. He's an undersized interior player that can really get out and run, but really he leaks out early on the break. He can finish, but he's a guy that averaged under 10 points per game. Does he have some potential? Yeah, he can get better, but he doesn't have a lot of ball skills. And this to me is a stunner. I'm stunned. This is a second-round basketball player. Second round. Nobody else would have taken him in the first round.
I mean, to have the 20th pick with an opportunity to get a lottery pick in Marcus Williams, even if you chose to utilize that via a trade down the line, that guy's going to carry so much more value for you in trying to revamp and improve your roster. I don't understand the move. Again, this is a guy, his success is going to depend on the play and the ability of your guards who have not shown an ability to make great decisions consistently. You have to question this move.
I'm almost speechless. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm almost speechless. About a week
That may
ago,
be the surprise of the draft.
Listen, let me tell you something right now. About a week ago, I had a couple of executives tell me that this guy was like a cross between Dennis Rodman and Ron Artest. And I'm looking at this pick and I'm saying, I hope so. Because if he is not, and this team struggles remotely close to what it struggled last year, the career of Isaiah Thomas has come to.
You know, think of it this way, too. If he picks Marcus Williams, that gives them about 6 weeks of good PR, because people would have felt better about the Knicks with that pick because they know and understand and appreciate the overall talent of Marcus Williams. It gives you an opportunity to focus on revitalizing and revamping that roster. This does not benefit you in that
The only thing that I will say about this is I'll repeat myself. The one good thing that you can say about Isaiah Thomas is that his draft history is good. I sincerely hope it stays good because this is not the pick I expected.
No,
I'm shocked.
The Dennis Rodman comparison is a fair one. That's a fair comparison. But Dennis Rodman was a second-round pick. I mean, this guy was going to be available later and later than this. You didn't need to take him now. I mean, you could have, if you really wanted him, you could have got him at 29. Nobody else is going to take Ronaldo Balkman in the first round. Nobody.
Dennis Rodman was 6'9" and guarded centers. Ronaldo Balkman is 6'5", and he's going to guard small forward. So I wouldn't necessarily use that as an analogy. Again, he may be more defensive-oriented, and that's never going to be a bad thing. But again, the fact that you take him in the first round when you had a chance to get a top 10 talent, to me, is a little bit befuddling.
Hey, they better hope this is another two-hat guy. You know, they get another hat later on.
Yes, and they got another pick coming up on the 29th pick of the first round. When you think of the Knicks, you think of Spike Lee. Here's Spike's reaction to this pick by Isaiah Thomas. A true fan looking for that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. We want to clear up some paperwork. The commissioner talked about the deal with the Chicago Bulls and the Philadelphia 76ers. We want to show you that paperwork in regards to making it official. We told you about it. Pablo Sepalucha is a very, very talented player and had been rising up on a lot of draft boards. The 76ers getting Rodney Carney, another very athletic player, one of the best athletes in this draft. Let's go to Andy Katz, our NBA insider. Andy?
Well, actually, there's a trade brewing with this next pick. Phoenix picks at number 21, and Boston has been trying to get back into this draft, trying to get Rajon Rondo, the Kentucky point guard, the sophomore point guard. So they're now working with Phoenix, since Rondo did not go before 21, to where they can select him for the Celtics, and then the Celtics would end up paying the salary of Brian Grant, taking that salary off of the Suns needing to dump some of that salary, and then they would pick at 21 Rondo. That's what is being proposed, being talked about as we speak between Phoenix and Boston. Dan?
All right, Andy, they also got Sebastian Telfair in regards to first-round draft pick and being able to put him in at the point. So this is the proposed deal, according to Andy Katz, what the Celtics receive and what the Suns will receive with this deal. The commissioner joins us with the Phoenix Suns on the clock, the pick that could end up going to Boston.
With the 21st pick in the 2006 NBA draft, the Phoenix Suns select Rajon Rondo from the University of Kentucky.
Well, we have our first point guard selected, and if you had Rajon Rondo in the lottery, you're a winner. The sophomore guard from Kentucky, not a great shooter. They got Sebastian Telfair, and we're talking about the Boston Celtics. If this deal that has been proposed is going down, the Suns will send Rondo to the Boston Celtics, who all of a sudden have some depth at the point guard position. So sophomore guard, first Kentucky player to lead the team in rebounding and assists in over 40 years. He's the 20th Kentucky player drafted in the first round, the first since Tayshaun Prince, 23rd overall back in 2002. Your thoughts on, let's talk about him as a talent first of all, Jay, and then we can get into where he fits in with the Celtics.
No, absolutely super run and jump athlete. He's got long arms, he's got huge hands. I think one of the best perimeter defenders in this draft. He can stay in front of just about everybody. He can handle it, he can get to the rim and finish there. He's an outstanding guard rebounder, but you identified it, Dan. The problem is he can't shoot it at all. Teams in the Southeastern Conference didn't even guard him. So you put him on the floor, and the guy that's guarding him, he tries to keep him away from the rim, and then he sits in the lap of your best player as a double team guy. So he's going to have to improve that shot. The question is, I don't think he's going to be a great shooter. You know, if he can become an adequate shooter, that would be great. But the other things that he does well, his positives, they're pretty solid, especially as a defender. And I think in the pro game, he's going to be a better player than he was in college because he's an open court player. player and the kind of guy that gets to the rim. And boy, I'll tell you, he grabbed 19 rebounds in one game this year. He's a big rebounder.
Well, it definitely has some ability. There's no question about that. But I think the inability to score that basketball, and you talk about his ability to finish, harder to get to the rim and finish in the NBA if you don't have a threat of being able to knock down a perimeter jump shot. Plus, keep in mind, he's not necessarily going to be playing on a team where you're going to have double teaming in the paint. So that could be an issue. Again, a little bit shocking that Marcus Williams, as a point guard, if that's a necessity for you, still has yet to be removed off the board.
Doesn't seem to make any sense, but Rondo is known for playing exceptional defense, and at times Phoenix has appeared allergic to playing defense. So you would surmise that that's the only reason that they made this pick. But again, to be picked ahead of Marcus Williams, no. It doesn't make sense to me.
We knew this was going to be a big night for the Kentucky basketball team. Marcus Williams is still sitting and waiting. The Nets are on the clock. The first point guard taken, Rajon Rondo out of Kentucky. The NBA draft on ESPN continues after this.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2006 NBA Draft, presented by Sprite with Lyman, proud sponsor of the NBA, Obey, and in part by Hummer, like nothing else. Wendy's all-white meat crispy chicken sandwich. Do Wendy's, do what tastes right. And My Super Ex-Girlfriend, starring Uma Thurman and Luke Wilson, July 21st, only in theaters.
New York Knicks with 2 first-round picks. New Jersey Nets, back-to-back first-round picks.
With the 22nd pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the New Jersey Nets select Marcus Williams from the University of Connecticut.
First time in Connecticut history with 3 first-round draft picks. Marcus Williams having to wait a little bit longer than a lot of people thought, including R.J. Billis, who had him as his best pure point guard in this 2006 draft.
Marcus Williams is a left-hander. He's a true point guard. I think he's the best pure passer in the draft. He plays with great pace. He changes speed and direction. Other guys can run your team, but Marcus Williams will get you baskets. The only problem, we've mentioned it, his conditioning. He's got 14% body fat right now. That's okay if you're hibernating. He needs to get in a little bit better condition.
All right, going to the New Jersey Nets, and certainly would be nice with Jason Kidd there to tutor you. Mark Jones with more. Jonesy?
Right, and with Michelle Williams, Marcus's mother, a long wait. Michelle, you moved from your home in Los Angeles to move in with your son when he missed the first half of the season.
Yes, I did.
Said you had to get your mom game up.
Yes, I did.
Why was that?
Because I love my son, I love my daughter. I'll do anything for my children as long as it's legal. I'll do anything for them. So I had to move across the country and do what I had to do. And I'll do it again if I had to.
Now, you were actually taunting your son in his own apartment when you guys were living together.
Yes, I was.
To get him ready for what was going to come on the road when he came back to playing. How effective was that, do you think?
I think it was very effective. By the time January 3rd came and he played against Marquette, he didn't even care about that anymore. It was boring to him. So, I mean, he rolled it out. He did his thing. You seen him. You guys seen him, right?
Thanks for joining us. She got her mom game up, guys. Back to you.
She's got her game face on. Let's bring in Dick Vitale. Dick, your thoughts on Marcus Williams going to the Nets?
Well, I'll just say this, an incredible choice. I think Eddie Stefanski and Ron Thorne, again, they upstage as the world of Isaiah turns in New York. Hey, Volkman selected. Think about this. The NBA puts out the guy, over 100 names. The name Volkman's not in there. How do they not take someone like Alexander Johnson or Josh Boone or Leon Poe, a big guy? Rajon Rondo, by the way, I would take Williams over Rondo. I think the Celtics made a mistake. Rondo's got to pound the ball to the deck, pound it, and he can't make a shot. It's like a 220 hitter, man. He can go to training camp all he wants. When it's all said and done, he usually hits 220.
And you look at a guy who plays well to his strengths, but does he go to his left too much? If you're a defense, and you saw this, they still couldn't stop him. As Jay pointed out, he's the best pure point guard in the draft. He's sitting by with Stuart Scott. Stuart?
Marcus, when you're the last guy over there in the green room and people are being picked and you're waiting, what is the worst part about that?
I don't think it was the worst part at all. I mean, I just think everything is a blessing in disguise. I think I'm stepping into a great situation, playing with great wings, and playing behind one of the best point guards and a guy I watched growing up.
A lot of critics. You went to the Orlando pre-draft camp, and a lot of teams said that you were not in shape. How do you change that and the perception of that?
I mean, I got to go in now and just dedicate my summer to this next season, and just go in there now, work out hard as possible, and just prove everyone wrong.
We talked about you missing the first semester last year because of the incident last year when you pleaded guilty. You and a teammate stealing 4 laptop computers without basketball for that semester. What did you learn?
I think the situation humbled me a lot. God showed me that things can be taken away, and
Select Josh Boone from the University of Connecticut. Josh is not here.
Josh Boone certainly has the size, defensive presence. Surprise pick at this position, Jay?
Yeah, a little high, but if it's who you wanted, it's not a bad pick. I mean, Boone is a very good defender, shot blocker, probably the best offensive rebounder in the draft. He's blocked over 200 shots at UConn. That is third all time. I like him as a player, except offensively, he thinks too much. I mean, he's a guy that runs the floor and gets things off of transition and off of the offensive glass, but that is about it. He has a hard time making free throws. I think he's really hard on himself. He's going to have to work on his offensive game in order to really grow into this sort of first-round selection that he is at 23. But defensively, very good. Rebounding, very good, and a very good athlete.
Yeah, Defensive Player of the Year in 2005 in the Big East. Your thoughts on this pick by the Nets?
2 great picks. Because, again, remember, when you look at his skill set and the things that Josh Boone does well, it's exactly what the New Jersey Nets need. They need some athleticism. They need some energy on that interior. They need shot blocking, and they need a guy who can finish at the paint. He's going to be playing with arguably the best point guard in the league and also with the best point guard in this year's draft. So it's going to be a very good fit. Rod Thorn has done a phenomenal job of addressing needs, and that's what we talked about initially, this draft being. Rod Thorn has done the job.
The Jersey Nets have just once again illustrated why they're one of the class organizations in the league. Excellent picks, both Josh Boone and Marcus Williams, especially in the case of Williams, not only excuse me, because you know that he's a quality point guard, but because he has the opportunity to learn under somebody like a Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd is not what he used to be. As great as he is, he's not what he used to be. He can pass the torch and teach this guy so many things. As good as this kid is now, imagine how he's going to be after 3 years working under Jason Kidd.
And we knew this was going to be a big night for the Connecticut Huskies in regards to the talent level of going in the first round. In fact, 4 first-round draft picks, ties for the most in NBA history with North Carolina and Duke back in 1999. North Carolina last year. It's a great night for the Connecticut Huskies as the 2006 draft continues.
I'm Rudy Gay. I'm Marcus Williams. This is Rudy Gay. That's gonna be a blooper. They're gonna show the bloopers. I'm ready to get this started, man. Gosh. I'm ready to get this over with, man. Little girl got a son. Ain't looking good. Ain't looking good. Oh my goodness.
Congratulations. Okay. That's very exciting. Look out there at the camera.
Well, that's a very good surprise.
8th overall pick by the commissioner as he gets to know Rudy Gay. But Rudy Gay goes to Houston, then gets traded to the Memphis Grizzlies in exchange for Shane Battier. Let's go to the commissioner now. Memphis back on the clock.
With the 24th pick in the 2006 NBA draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Kyle Lowry of Villanova University.
Well, we mentioned it was a big night for Connecticut, also from Villanova. Randy Foy's running mate, Kyle Lowry, going to the Memphis Grizzlies. Jay?
I like the pick. He plays with controlled abandon. He's only 6 feet tall, but he's an incredible athlete, very energetic. He also has long arms, great speed in transition, the type of guy that gets every loose ball. And hey, if a fight breaks out, he's the guy you want on your side. He gets to the rim, he's quick to the ball, and he's got a great motor. He absolutely loves to play, and he's really strong. He's a gym rat. But the one thing, Dan, that he doesn't do, he doesn't shoot the ball. And I kind of question that a little bit because he is such a gym rat. He loves to play. He's playing all the time. Why isn't he a better shooter? Well, I'll tell you what, he hasn't really worked on it as much as he should. He's getting more disciplined. He really improved from the free throw line from his first year to his second. I think Kyle Lowry is a terrific pick for Memphis. I think he's going to be a very good NBA player as his shot improves. I think he's a solid pick at 24.
The important thing, though, for Kyle Lowry is his greatest strength is that he plays to his strength, and that's what's going to happen with the Memphis Grizzlies. He's going to probably be a backup brought in to disrupt defenses and also to create and get into the interior. So that's going to be a role he's very much suited for right away. It allows him to have an impact initially when a lot of guys who were drafted before him may not.
Also helps things from a familiarity standpoint simply because Eddie Jones is still very connected to the Philadelphia community, knows about this guy pretty much. Again, he's a disruptor. He's going to get into the game. He's going to try to wreak havoc. That's going to be a good thing for the Memphis Grizzlies, especially since they were looking for a point guard.
3 point guards taken in the last 4 picks. The difference between Rondo and Lowry, neither shoots very well.
Well, Rondo is longer and he's a little bit bigger. Lowry, I think, is a little bit tougher. I mean, if those two got in a fight, I'd pick Lowry. I mean, that guy's going to fight for you. I think that's a really good pick. I like him.
Cleveland Cavaliers on the clock. Is LeBron getting some help immediately? Also, the Lakers in the on-deck circle. We'll check in with Jim Gray and see what Kobe and company have in mind with the 26th pick overall. Well, if you're just joining us, this is what's happened. The Cliff Notes version, the last 3 hours. Toronto does go with the Italian Andrea Bargnani, the number 1 overall pick. A lot of trades, wheeling and dealing. Portland has been involved in a couple of blockbusters. And back-to-back Huskies, 22 and 23, going to the New Jersey Nets with Marcus Williams, the point guard, and the defensive presence of Josh Boone. An interesting first round. And we're only at pick number 25, the Cleveland Cavaliers on the clock, followed by the LA Lakers. Let's look at the Cleveland Cavaliers in regards to what they need, because here's a team that's got a lot of money in regards to what they've spent with the salary cap, so not a lot of freedom there, Jay.
Well, I think they need a shooter, somebody that can make shots and take a little pressure off LeBron James and all the attention that he's going to get. LeBron James can't just pass it out of a double team to somebody that can't shoot it. So if Cleveland can get a shooter here, and I think they can get a solid shooter if they want, a guy like Shannon Brown out of Michigan State who also brings defensive ability, he can run the floor. I mean, that would be a solid pick. Mike Gansey, another guy who can make shots out of West Virginia, but they're going to get a shooter and they're going to get somebody because of some picks in front of them that they didn't expect to get. I would expect it to be Shannon Brown.
I tell you, two areas that could be a big concern in the backcourt. You talk about the shooting, they could also definitely use point guard play, not necessarily going to be able to get it this late in the first round, and also a concern about Drew Gooden, who's going to have an opportunity to test the markets. There's a chance they may not be able to re-sign him. If that's the case, you have to look big as well. But right now, I think the most pressing need is in that backcourt. They have the lowest scoring total of a backcourt in the entire NBA. That has to be an area that they address.
Well, no question. And Ronald Murray is an unrestricted free agent, so you get Shannon Brown. That resolves your issue. This guy can shoot from the perimeter. He's willing to defend. You pair him with LeBron James. That can be potent, and you don't have to re-sign Ronald. Hey,
it's a great playoff run for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Are they getting help in the offseason? The commissioner now with the Cleveland Cavaliers first-round pick.
With the 25th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Shannon Brown from Michigan State University.
Well, he's going to give a lot of help to the lowest scoring starting backcourt in the NBA, just 17 points, Jay.
NFL body, athletic, strong, he's got huge hands, and he's a really capable defender. At 50 steals last year, Big Ten all-defensive team, and he can make shots. He can shoot it from the perimeter, he can put it on the floor and hit mid-range jump shots, and he really gets out on the break, and he can finish at the rim and dunk on your head. He's a really good player.
Bottom line is this, you're picking this late in the first round, you are a definite playoff team and you have an opportunity to get a starter, that's a tremendous asset, I think, if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers. This could end up being really a steal of the draft if this guy ends up starting for them.
And let's not forget, exceptionally well coached from one of my favorite coaches in college basketball, and that's Tom Izzo. You know, playing for Tom Izzo, you are going to be tough-minded. If nothing else, you're going to play defense. The fact that this guy can shoot just adds to everything else.
Does need to improve his decision-making, though. That's one area, 5-on-5 play, needs to be a better decision-maker.
His dad, a police sergeant in Illinois. So when you talk about toughness, he gets it from his coach and certainly gets it from his father. The Lakers are on the clock right now. Let's go to Jim Gray standing by with the Lakers and their thoughts, what they're doing with this first-round draft pick. Jim?
Well, they need a lot of help, Dan, and we talked to Phil Jackson earlier, and he's not, particularly confident that somebody at this position drafting this late can come in and step in right away. He would like to hope so, but of course Phil's philosophy with young players is it takes some time. Of course, they need some help at point guard. Smush Parker had a terrific season, but basically imploded in the playoffs after they had that 3-1 lead against Phoenix. They need some help for Kobe Bryant. Phil Jackson telling us that he had played just too many minutes, and the wear and tear on him is going to take its toll as he begins to age. Of course, they're going to build it all around him. They hope that Kwame Brown will continue the progress that they saw in him late in the season. And Andrew Bynum, who was their #1 pick last year, they hope that he'll get some playing time now over the summer in the summer leagues. They know he'll get it there and that he can come in and be a factor here next season for them. As far as some guys who they might be interested in, James White is a guy that they might look at from Cincinnati. He's very athletic, 6'6", and Hassan Adams from Arizona. But it's really a crapshoot at this point, Dan.
All right, Jim. Lakers on the clock. Earlier we heard from the Hall of Famer, Larry Bird. Let's bring in another Hall of Famer. In fact, he's the logo. He's the great Jerry West. And Jerry, if I said you were going to end the night with Lowry and Gay, what would you have said?
Well, we know we ended with Lowry. We're actually pleased with the way the night turned out, and we're not really free to discuss anything we've done at this point in time. But the thing that we really need down here, obviously, is a little bit more athleticism, toughness in our backcourt. And we feel like we got two guys. We think Rudy Gay was one or two top players in the whole draft, to be honest with you. And more importantly, we got a really tough kid in the backcourt. Damon Stoudemire, who was our starting point guard, got hurt last year. And so we feel very fortunate to have gotten him down there where we did.
Are you surprised at the volatility of the first round?
Well, some of the things really surprise you a lot because basically the same people could have gotten taken, and somebody's looking to get another edge there, I guess. But when you look at the draft, some of the things that were done, they don't shock you because you hear about them, but some of them don't look like there's any reason not to do what they're doing.
He's the logo. He's the Hall of Famer, the great Jerry West. Jerry, thanks for joining us.
Dan, thank you very much. Why'd you get on the commissioner board?
Let's bring in John Paxson, the general manager of the Chicago Bulls. Pax, it's been a busy day for you. Sum up what's happened so far in regards to the Bulls.
Well, we really want to address a number of areas with our basketball team, and we were able to do that tonight. We've needed length and athleticism at several positions, and we were able to accomplish that with Tyrus and with Victor Kriapa, Thabo Sefolosha. These are all guys that are long, athletic, active players, and we're thrilled we came out of the draft with these three guys.
Why did you make the deal in regards to Thomas and LaMarcus Aldridge?
Well, we weren't really certain which direction we wanted to go. We liked both players a lot, but at the end of the day, when we felt we could get another asset to help us with our length and the way we like to play, it kind of became a no-brainer. And Tyrus is we've loved him from day one. We understand that it could be a little bit of a process with him, but he's got such a huge upside, and I think in our environment he'll really excel. So we can't wait to get him in here and get our coaches with him.
It's an interesting situation with Scott Skiles in the player he wants. When you draft, do you draft in accordance to the type of player that he wants to deal with?
We were laughing all night long while you guys were talking about how tough Scott is up there. I mean, he's what he is he's a guy that holds players accountable for what they're doing on the floor. And that's how we all are up here. So we take everything into consideration, but Scott was on board with every decision we made. We felt like getting up and getting Thabo at 13 was a huge thing for us. We would like a player in the backcourt who can complement both Kirk Hinrich and Ben Gordon. And Ben's our starter, but we think this kid can fit in some capacity.
All right, he's John Paxson. It's been a busy day, busy night for the Chicago Bulls. Thank you, Pax. Let's go to the commissioner now. The Lakers on the clock with their first-round pick, 26th overall.
With the 26th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Jordan Farmar from UCLA.
Jordan Farmar staying close to home in Los Angeles. Went to UCLA. First-round pick from UCLA since Jerome Boiso. Okay.
He's a good handler, a good passer, and most importantly, I think Jordan Farmar's got very good leadership ability. He's not really a speed merchant, but he gets by people with quick bursts of speed. He can make open shots, although he's not a great shooter. I'll tell you, Dan, I was wowed by his athletic numbers out of Orlando. He tested with a 42-inch vertical leap. I knew he was a good athlete, but I didn't think he would be able to pump up a 42-inch vertical. I think he's a very good player, but I don't think he's quite as good as a point guard as a guy like Marcus Williams, who I think is a lot better. But he's got a chance to be pretty good.
But that's the advantage he has going to the Lakers, because you don't use a true prototype point guard in the triangle offense. You need a guy who can make good decisions, can make open perimeter shots, and defend the point. And that's exactly what Jordan Farmar is going to be able to bring to that basketball team. To be able to get a guy, again, this late in the first round who could potentially start for you, that's a huge bonus for the LA Lakers. It's definitely going to help in their rebuilding process. Team that was able to make the playoffs last year, this guy could go a little bit longer in helping him develop into a contender eventually.
Well, let's not forget Kobe Bryant. When you're playing with probably the best player in the game, the fact is he can disguise some weaknesses. And when you look at the fact that this guy's a local product, a local pick, that's good PR. Not that the Lakers were in desperate need of it like some other organizations that I will not mention at this time. But the bottom line is, still in all, you look at Farmar, that's a very good pick for the Los Angeles Lakers.
And his dad, a former professional baseball player. His godfather is the great Eric Davis, former baseball player as well. You look at UCLA players who have been selected by the Lakers in the first round. Walt Hazzard. You also have Gail Goodrich, Dave Myers, and Brad Holland. So the Lakers have their man. Phoenix Suns are on the clock. Now keep in mind, this is how Farmar ends up with the Lakers. This is part of the Shaquille O'Neal deal with the Lakers and the Miami Heat that involved Lamar Odom, Caron Butler, Brian Grant, and now Jordan Farmar. We got the Phoenix Suns on the clock. And yes, another trade rumor. We'll have that for you as the 2006 NBA Draft, brought to you by Sprite, continues on ESPN. The 2006 NBA Draft continues as the Phoenix Suns are on the clock. They've already been involved in one deal earlier with the Boston Celtics as Rajon Rondo ends up going to the Boston Celtics. Rick Bucher joining us now, our NBA insider. It looks like Phoenix involved in other trade talks. What can you update us on, Rick?
Indeed, Dan. Phoenix has moved out of this draft entirely. They are expected to take Sergio Rodriguez with this pick, but not as the backup to Steve Nash. They will sell it to Portland for cash.
So the Phoenix Suns look like they might get some help, and maybe they were even talking about trying to package something. Or Sean Marion, was he going to be involved in trade talks? But the Phoenix Suns not getting any help right now. The commissioner joining us now with the Phoenix Suns on the clock.
With the 27th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select Sergio Rodriguez from Spain. Sergio is not here.
Well, the run on point guards continues. He's known as Spanish Chocolate. Let's bring in Fran Fraschilla on the international beat. Your thoughts on Sergio Rodriguez?
Well, he would have loved going to Phoenix where he could have backed up Steve Nash, much like Marcus Williams could have do. Very excellent ball handler, good in the open court, not a good shooter, a tremendous passer. At 20 years old, Dan, I've been told he's going to stay in the United States, not go back to Spain. He'll have an opportunity to play in Portland. They gave up Sebastian Telfair, who is more NBA ready, and they've got a guy that's probably going to take at least a year. He can be turnover prone, but he is magical with the basketball.
Thank you, Fran. I like the description somebody had of this kid, that he keeps both teams in the game.
That's true. He's going to have to work on his defense. I question whether he can defend in the league, but it's something that he can work on. But, hey, you might have to settle for him there because Ronaldo Balkman's off the board.
You know what? I got to say, I'm so perplexed by all the moves that the Portland Trailblazers made. I don't understand the rationale or justification for any of the moves they made tonight. They didn't have to make the trade for LaMarcus Aldridge. He would have been there at 4. Yet they make that move. A lot of the moves they made in terms of trades did not have to occur, and they still would have ended up with the same personnel. That's what Jerry West was basically alluding to.
That's 4 trades if you're scoring at home, the Portland Trailblazers. Let's go back out to Jim Gray, standing by with Mitch Kupchak on the Lakers selection. Jim?
All right, Dan, thank you very much. Jordan Farmar, UCLA, local guy. Can he step in and play right away because you need help right now?
Well, we could use another ball handling guard, and quite frankly, we didn't think Jordan Farmar was going to be available this late in the draft. So I can't say we planned on getting him. He's 19 years old. He's incredibly talented. They've made mention to his workouts in Orlando, what kind of athlete he is. You know, for a 19-year-old kid to come in and play significant minutes, I can't say it's something that we're expecting. You know, we'll still look for some help in the backcourt. But once again, we didn't think he'd be available, and we know him very well. We watched him play. We know the coach, you know, the system they run, and he's a winner, so he's going to fit in well here.
I want to ask you about Lamar Odom. It seems as though every time there's a draft, every time the trading deadline comes along, Lamar Odom's name is thrown out there. And it seems as though since he arrived here in the Shaquille O'Neal trade, he's being traded. Are you attempting to trade Lamar Odom?
No, absolutely not. To his credit, his name has been mentioned a lot by other general managers, you know, that call, and maybe the first rumor perpetuates the next rumor and so forth. But we get a lot of phone calls about Lamar. I have not called the team regarding Lamar at all. We're very happy with the way he played this year, in particular the way he came on in the second half, which is what he said he would do. You know, he indicated that he'd struggle a little bit to get through the first half of the season with the offense. He said, but wait till the second half.
Mitch, you were quoted as saying, if you had to do it all over again, you would trade Shaquille O'Neal in light of him winning this championship with Miami. I'm wondering why you made that statement.
Because it's what we believe we would do if we had to do it over again. I suppose you can look back and spend your life looking back a year or 2 or 3 years, but we're not going to do that. We made a decision 2 years ago that we were very comfortable with. We stand by that decision, and we're moving ahead.
Couldn't it have happened here, though, with Kobe?
You know, to sit here and speculate, how can you do that? You know, we made the decision to do what we did, and I can't sit here and say what could have happened last year or next year or this year. You know, that's water under the bridge. We've moved ahead.
Final thought, how will you improve this team? What will you do now with the rest of this offseason? You're capped out. You've got some problems. What can you do?
Well, 26 of the 30 teams are capped out, so it's not like we're the only team in the league that's capped out. We do have incredible flexibility under the tax threshold. We have a mid-level we can spend, which is what the other 26 teams have to spend. You know, we have the other exceptions. So, you know, we've got flexibility in terms of bringing on free agents. You know, we'll also be active, you know, in the trade market, looking to see if we can do something that'll shore up some areas.
Mitch, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We got another selection. Mitch Kupchak. All right, back to you, Dan.
All right, Jim, thank you. 6 of the last 7 picks have been guards. Dallas is on the clock. The commissioner set to check in with the NBA Finals runner-up, Dallas Mavericks. Here's the commissioner with the 28th pick overall.
With the 28th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Maurice Ager of Michigan State University.
Reduced to tears with the announcement, he's going to the Dallas Mavericks. Great athleticism. The senior guard out of Michigan State. Let's bring in Dick Vitale. Dick, your thoughts on Maurice and how he fits in with the Mavericks.
Hey, Dan, with their style of play, up-tempo, run the court, he's a good transition player, very athletic, could be explosive in transition. In fact, hey, this could be the coming of a Michael Finley, 6'5", really a good wing player. I think they made themselves a solid choice this late, as did Jordan Farmer going with the Lakers. I think Farmer fits perfectly with that triangle, good decision maker, good basketball IQ. Good, solid choices the last 2.
All right, thank you, Dick. a devout Christian. So much so, the coach scheduled Sunday practice later in the day so he could attend Mass in the morning. The last player from Michigan State drafted, Marcus Taylor in 2002. Your thoughts, Jay?
Well, he's a really good scorer. He can run the floor. He gets up and down the floor and attacks the rim in transition. He's a good shooter when he gets his feet set. You've got to make him put it on the floor, and I think that's one area where he can improve. That's putting the ball on the floor and attacking off the dribble. His pull-up jump shot, I think, could improve. He's got to work on his understanding of the game a little bit. I think it's a good pick. He doesn't pick up concepts particularly well, but I think that's something he can work on and become a better player in that regard. He's a great kid. He's going to really work for you. He's really going to defend. And as with Shannon Brown, he's a guy that's been very well coached throughout his career.
Well, when you get away from like Connecticut as being the most talented team in college basketball, you can make an argument that Michigan State was the second most talented. So to get a guy like this late in the first round for Dallas, it makes me think back, not quite as polished as Josh Howard, but a similar guy in terms of I think he's going to have an ability to impact their roster because of the size. Remember, he also defends it pretty well. If you play for Tom Izzo, you're going to get after it on the defensive side. Guy averaged 19 points a game. I mean, you can do that in college. You can score the basketball.
Can shoot, can defend, and play for Tom Izzo. What's there to think about?
Yeah, great pick, a great value pick this late in the draft for the Dallas Mavericks. Guess who's on the clock? The New York Knicks. What will they do for an encore after their last pick? We'll bring it to you and dissect it when we return. Welcome back to the 2006 NBA Draft, brought to you by Sprite. The Knicks earlier tonight taking Ronaldo Balkman with the 20th overall pick. Now they're on the clock, and you can tell the crowd reaction to that selection out of South Carolina. Let's go to Mark Jones, somewhere in the masses.
The masses are still a little bit restless. Tell me what you thought. Tell me what you thought of the pick of Balkman.
Balkman was good, but Isaiah's a bum. We need to fire Isaiah as soon as possible and get somebody who knows how to manage a team and put this team where we need to be. Right. And that's winning a championship for New York.
Okay, very, very passionate fans, guys. Back to you.
I think Mark Jones just took a charge there from one of the fans.
From Eminem.
What do you think?
I'm perplexed. I don't know. After that first pick in the first round, my hands are tied with the New York Knicks right now.
All I can do is fall back to the man's draft history. He has had good drafts. That much you can say about him. That's all I can say.
The New York Knicks looking for an encore performance, perhaps, or to accompany Ronaldo Balkman, their first round pick. Here's the commissioner.
With the 29th pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the New York Knicks select Marty Collins of Temple University.
Sixth consecutive guard selected. 8 of the last 9 players have been guards, and tapping into Philadelphia, Spike Lee. I don't know if Spike is stunned or not, but Marty Collins is the pick, the senior guard out of Temple, Jay.
Well, this is not a bad pick. What do you expect at the 29th pick? Marty, that's exactly where I had him slotted. I had him slotted at 28 as a prospect. Marty Collins is 6'5". He's got very good size and strength for a point guard. You know, he can back you down. He can shoot over you. He's got pretty good rebounding and passing instincts and a pretty good ability level. He's really long-armed. He's got a 6'10" wingspan, and he's got the size for his position. He's got a little bit of a questionable athleticism, and he's not a shooter. And one thing he doesn't do, he doesn't knock down free throws at a high enough rate, but that's something he can improve upon. You know, I like Marty Collins here. The problem is you're piling him on top of Ronaldo Balkman, which frankly I still am stunned by. But right here at 29, not a bad pick at all.
I don't have a problem with it either, and more importantly than anything else, the man has been coached by John Chaney. The fact is he's not hard-headed, he's not big-headed. He's actually going to listen to instructions and not be a part of a dysfunctional locker room as far as I'm concerned. That's not the kind of person that he is. So I think a character guy is somebody that you found in him who can play. I don't know how much time he'll get, but it's not a bad pick at all.
A lot of the fans in New York may not know who he is, but it is a very good pick from a value standpoint. If you don't know about this guy, think a lot of Aaron McKee.
Right.
Has a very similar game to how Aaron McKee played it. You know, he's methodical out on the perimeter, but he understands the game, defends it well, makes good decisions with the basketball. A nice, solid pick. And definitely after the first pick they made at 20.
And knows how to play a zone, by the way, which might come in handy when you got Eddie Curry and Jerome James down low. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
A great defensive player. Didn't start until his senior year in high school. Phoenix Suns, interesting night. They had 2 first-round picks. They traded them away. Let's bring in, via our teleconferencing, our head coach of the Phoenix Suns. He's Mike D'Antoni. Coach, give me the philosophy of checking out of the draft.
Well, you know, it's pretty simple. We had 4 or 5 guys we really liked. We tried to move up. We tried everything we could. They were off the board when we picked at 21, so at that point, we want to conserve some tax room, not the cap, but not to get over the tax. We love the group that we have. We're trying to keep them all together and attack what we have left over.
How important was it to look at a backup point guard for Steve Nash?
Well, you know, we talk about that. We love Leandro Barbosa. He's developing into a great backup point guard. He's a combo guard. What we're looking for is more decision guys around the perimeter. And it could be a backup point, could be a small forward or whatever. But Steve Nash will take a lot of load off him because Amari Stoudemire is coming back, and he won't have to do all the creating. And we think we're in pretty good shape.
Last time somebody called about the availability of Shawn Marion.
About, I don't know, what time is it? You know, all the time. You know, he's one of the best players in the league. They think we have a money crunch. We do have a money crunch. That's only because we got a lot of great players. And something will happen in one of these days. But right now, we think we're pretty close to getting to a final. We do not want to blow the chance. We have the best players that we feel like we can get. We're going to keep them together and then go for it. And then at one time, we might have to make some decisions, but not now.
He's the head coach of the Phoenix Suns. Congratulations on a great year. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Now you got the Portland Trail Blazers on the clock again. They have been the most active team so far, and in regards to what they've done so far, I know you guys have been critical of them. Here they are with the final pick of the first round. How would you sum up, if we're giving grades or thumbs up, thumbs down, to what Portland's done?
C minus.
C minus, okay.
Only because not based on their talent. They have good talent. It's just that they didn't necessarily need to make the trades they made to acquire the prospects that they ultimately ended up with. That's the problem I had with those moves. LaMarcus Aldridge would have been there at 4. We know Charlotte was going to take Morrison, and you knew Tyrese Thomas was the guy that was running at number 2.
Me. Portland Trail Blazers on the clock. The final pick of the first round. The commissioner with the call.
We have a trade. The Phoenix Suns trade the draft rights to Sergio Rodriguez, selected at number 27, to the Portland Trail Blazers for cash consideration. With the 30th and final pick in the 2006 NBA draft, the Portland Trail Blazers select Joel Freeland from England. Joel, come on up.
Joel Freeland, he was spotted bagging groceries in England. 6'10" out of England. Let's bring in Fran Fraschilla once again. He's scouted all of these international players. Your thoughts on Freeland, Joel?
Dan, the first question is paper or plastic? That's what you got to ask. But other than that, he's very raw. He's come out of nowhere, really, in the last 3 months. He was a surprise at the Reebok Euro Camp in Treviso a couple weeks ago. But he is 6'10". He shoots well. He runs well. And believe it or not, for someone with a lack of basketball experience, a very high basketball IQ. But, and here's a big but, he's at least 2 years away from helping the Portland Trail Blazers. Think of a guy coming out of high school with this pick, because that's his experience level. They might have got him in the early second. They give him the guarantee contract at the end of the first.
Thank you, Fran. So the 19-year-old forward is going to the Portland Trail Blazers, one of the worst scoring teams in the league.
You can leave him over there. You don't have to bring him over. You can leave him over in Europe. So he's a pick for the future. If he pans out, great, but you don't have to bring him right now.
No comment. I mean, at that point, it's really not going to be an impact player for the Portland Trail Blazers. They have a roster that's in total disarray right now and somewhat dysfunctional. So I think it's best to just figure out what they're trying to do and give them the benefit of the doubt.
Perhaps tomorrow I'll have something to say. They're a complete waste of my time to be talking about the Portland Trail Blazers right now. Complete waste of time.
Well, the Portland Trail Blazers are back on the clock. Can't wait for Stephen A. and Greg to summarize what they're doing with this pick. That's reason to come back, isn't it? As we begin the second round of the 2006 NBA Draft right here on ESPN, brought to you by Sprite.